Hello and welcome into my latest live stream. Today is, what is today? Today's the 14th of September, 2018. And we're going to continue on where we left off yesterday. Hold on a minute, this isn't right. I don't know what happened there. And that is with this system that's pretty much left the way you saw it yesterday, right? This is the box for the cooler. I don't know why I still have that. Let's get rid of that. I talked to the customer and they said that they were happy to receive that cooler. They don't have a problem with it. They saw the video and it's all good. So we're going to go ahead and finish this build up today, get it all wired, managed, and everything else, so I can get it out of here. Okay, hello to everybody joining us. We've got, hello, I don't know, we've got a few people watching here. Rich Robbins says, thank God it's Friday. Is it Friday? I don't even know anymore. I'm so busy I can't tell. Let's see. The computer with the blue screen, I'm still waiting to hear back from that customer to grab remote control and try and make it happen. Hello to Patrick Rusaw, Angry Dad 1969, Superman G, Steve H, Michael C, all the rest of my moderators joining us. 169 people are tuned in at the moment. Don Beverly, hello, how are you? Talking about getting hammered by a storm in South Carolina. Yeah. Won't be the first time, won't be the last. John Hughes says hello. Mark Cresswell says hello. Helena Song 2010 waves at me. Joseph Neal says hello from the UK. Papa Roachman 20 says hello. Paul Baxter says hello. PCT says good evening. It's not evening here, it's just noon. All right, so it's time for me to get to work. Oh, man, the last couple of weeks have just been go, 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 go. I expect the rest of September to play out the same, and probably the first 2 weeks of October. And if any more work comes in between now and then, it'll push me into November. I've already booked my first presentation for the computer club here to do a live presentation for them. Kevin Lavis has contributed £5. He says, keep up the great streams, Kerry. Kevin, thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate it. Toonie Sand says hello from the Netherlands. First Coke of the day. That's the stuff. All right. Let's get back to work. So the cooler, the original AMD cooler, that'll go with the system to the customer. It'll go in the motherboard box or on top of the body. It's something I don't have to worry about breaking and shipping, quite frankly. We still, in all my distraction from installing the liquid pump, if you recall, I set out to just simply add this extra CPU power cable to this rig behind me, and I forgot all about it. I was so exhausted by the time I was done. And the gentleman over at Gamdius saw the review that I did, the install, and he was very pleased with it. And we'll see if they'll send me anything else in the future. But he was especially grateful that I mentioned that because it's sealed at the factory, it's less likely to leak. It was an odd thing for him to find. To me, I thought it was odd that of all the things I talked about, that's the thing he was glad I mentioned. Okay. That's true of all all-in-one coolers, not just Gamdia's. All all-in-one coolers are less likely to leak because they're sealed at the factory. I thought maybe he would have been more impressed with what I was talking about, specifically about Gamdia's, but to each his own. It was all complimentary either way, so I'll be grateful for that. All right, Pork Eating Infidel says, good morning from Singapore. It's 3:30 in the morning, and I'm glad I stayed up for this. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you stayed up for it too. 348 people are tuned in at the moment. Here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to, I don't know why my nose is. What's going on there? I'm going to go ahead and hook up the CPU power cable right now. This isn't really necessary unless you're going to push the system really, really hard, but doesn't hurt to have it. It doesn't hurt anything to hook it up. I just need to grab a flashlight so I can get in there and see where this is going to go. So there are two places for CPU plugs, and it does, the power supply comes with two CPU plugs. Most power supplies do not. Just so you know, if you're going to buy a motherboard with that additional power connector on it, make sure you get a power supply that is got that option. such as this one, the EVGA 750G3 power supply, which also has an excellent warranty. I think that's a 12-year warranty on there if you buy it through Newegg, if I'm not mistaken. And let's see, we want to go, we're going to figure this cabling out in a minute. Let's just go up here for right now. And we're going to push that through. And we're really going to test out all this cable management tracks that that NZXT gives us to see how adequate they are in such an extreme build here. Well, it didn't start out as an extreme build, but that's how it ended up. Yeah, I'm going to figure this out. Got to get this figured out. In fact, you know what? Let me just plug this cable in and just leave it here because we're going to need it shortly to test. Tom is saying hello from Holland. Hi, Tom. Welcome in. And of course, hi to everybody else whose names I haven't mentioned. Let's see. Where did that cable come in at? Right up here. I better not be getting sick. I can't afford it. I got lots of work to do. Okay, so I'm just going to use one of these 4-pin connectors, and it's just going to go right here on the motherboard, right below the 8-pin power. We put the additional 4-pin. That's a total of 12 pins of CPU power. That is a lot of power. But if it's needed, it's needed, right? So who am I? Who am I to say whether or not it's needed? Customer wants, customer gets. Yeah, this cabling, this should work really well on this cable management. If we can run that one up here and this track for that fan. Just get this out of the way for a moment. And we can run these straight down this track right here. Oh, that already fell out. Gotta work on that. There's a little cable tie loop here we can put in there to hold that in position. And these will go right down this line right here. And there's a cable tie position there. That's going to look really nice. Yeah, it's going to work really well. And then this, all these cables belong to this thing. See, I mean, look how many cables we're adding. Just by adding that liquid cooler, we're adding 1, 2, 3, plus the box. And then obviously we still have to plug into the CPU header, so that's 4. 4 cables is a lot when you consider that's the entire front power switches and LEDs is 4 cables. That's all just for the liquid cooler. So if you're a stickler on cable management, if it means a lot to you, you're better off with a tower cooler, air cooler, or stock cooler than a liquid cooler. Or you've got a little work ahead of you in your cable management. It's not a lot more. It's a little bit more work. And depending on your case, that could be horrible. You know, if your case already barely has cable management for what you have, then you got to get really creative to figure out how to hide these cables. Or you just give up and just shove them in the back and slam the panel on. Either way. 440 people are watching now live. Guys, welcome into the live channel. For those of you who have never seen my channel before, I am a real computer technician, and everything you see here is real work by computers that are paid for by real customers. Unlike other big popular YouTube tech channels, I'm actually held accountable and responsible for my work for years and years and years, and everything I do matters in the sense that the person who owns this computer, it doesn't expect to drop this kind of coin and have something not reliable or work. And I'm so confident in how well these machines work that I put together that I mail them across the United States, which makes it almost impossible for me to support them. The only way this business is sustainable is that the machines I build work right out of the box the first time, that are shipped correctly, they're built with the right parts, and they're all configured and assembled in a correct manner. When all that's done, when all those I's are dotted and all those T's are crossed, you have a happy customer for a very, very long time. And that's how I've been able to sustain my business, is through word of mouth. I've tried advertising, it simply doesn't work, not for me. And to be honest, I'm not a marketing guy. What do I know about advertising? But I do know about customer service. I know how to treat people the way I want to be treated. I know the kind of service that I like. And so that's how I direct what I do. I base it on what I like. And it doesn't always align with some clients. It'll align with about 97%, 98% of clients. But you'll get that 2% that are just out after themselves. They're very selfish. They don't care how you stay in business. They're gonna bleed you dry if you let them. And so it's important to remember, if you're self-employed or considering being self-employed, that losing a customer is not necessarily a bad thing. There is a difference, a very big difference, between losing a customer and losing a good customer. Now, I will be upset if I lose a good customer, but if it's just a regular customer that really is not a good customer, we're just going to call them a regular customer, which isn't really a good analogy because they're few and far between in my experience. I need to cut them loose as quickly as possible. Basically, I never tell a customer no, but what I will do is I will price it so high that it'll make it worth dealing with them. And 99 times out of 100, probably 999 times out of 1,000, they'll say no thank you and walk away. Then I'm not the bad guy for, dumping them. Just go, okay, well, let me see, this customer is going to be a pain in my butt for the time eternal. What's that going to be worth, and that $100 job becomes a $900 job or $1,000 job. And if they're willing to pay it, I'm happy to help you. You've now paid for me to tolerate the abuse I'm about to take. Most of the time they're not. So all you have to do is just, everything's got a price, everything's got a value. I would never tell a customer no. I would just raise the rate so high that it would make it worth my while to do it. And that works pretty well. Like I said, those kind of customers, I don't need them, I don't want them. Honestly, unless they're willing to pay the top dollar, in which case, then they become good customers. It's my job to turn customers into good customers, and if I can't, cut them loose. Or let them cut themselves loose. Leave the gate open, let them leave. So that's how I deal with my attitude in running my business, and it's how I've been able to sustain it over 2 decades now. I've been self-employed, and most people that become self-employed only go maybe a year to 3 years, and they just can't hack it. I think 7 out of 10 businesses that people, home-based businesses or self-employed businesses fail in the first year, I want to say. 7 out of 10. And the news recently did an article on a gentleman who owns a business and said that someone left a negative Yelp review and it hurts small business, and the newsman went on to say that you should really think twice about leaving that negative review with the harm it can cause small business. And I wrote to the journalist, I only write if I'm profoundly upset or profoundly impressed. I was profoundly upset. I said, I am quite surprised that as a consumer advocate, you wrote an article suggesting that people should withhold their First Amendment right of free speech because what they write could hurt the business. That's not what a consumer advocate does. Furthermore, just because you know how to do your job doesn't mean you know how to run a business. If you've ever wondered, you'll see CEOs of corporations move from entire industries. You'll see the CEO of a car company become the CEO of a fast food company. Well, what does that CEO know about fast food? Well, running a business or being a CEO is exactly the same process regardless of the company. Yes, there's some little details of the processes involved in the workforce, but basically It is the exact same process of running a business regardless of what the business is. And so there's plenty of chefs who want to be restaurant owners and don't know a clue about what it takes to run a restaurant, and most of them fail. This article that the gentleman wrote, the news, was about a pest control company who said that the woman was using Yelp to blackmail him into, extortion, or if you will, to force him into charging less. But it's really very simple, and I'm going to tell you the key, which is if you want to run a successful business, small business or big business, your job is to set your customers' expectations before you accept any work. And then your second job is to meet or beat those expectations that you set. So if you have an upset customer, it's your fault. This guy might be very good at pest control, but he failed at the initial phone call when the customer inquired about his services, about what the charges would be before he came out. So when he came out and he gave her the estimate and charged her for the estimate, she was upset at the price of the estimate and felt it was 50% too high, actually 100% too high. It was double what she thought it should be. And she wrote a review to say as much. She was warning other people about this guy. So the journalist writes me back and he says, I've had several small businesses who thanked me for writing that article. I said, I have no doubt that you had several small business people that are so narcissistic and entitled that they refuse to accept personal responsibility for the dilemmas that are caused by their action or inaction of fully representing themselves to their client with full disclosure and accepting work based on greed rather than, for the right intention, which is to make sure that the customer understands all the potential costs that are involved, the time it's going to take, when you're going to be there. And then when the customer says, okay, I'm good with all that, then you schedule the job. But I've worked for a lot of people who just schedule the job. They don't even care what the customer has to say. I worked for a computer guy, and the minute somebody would call with a computer problem, he didn't even ask what the computer problem was. All he wanted to know is, what's your address? Because the minute he sent his tech out to the door, it was a minimum $125 service call. So whatever your problem is, we can fix it. I don't even want to hear it. Just tell me your address and we'll send somebody out. And the fact was, there were problems we couldn't solve. There were problems like, my email's not working, and they would have to contact their email provider. We can't fix that for them. That's just one example. And that's an awful lot of money to spend somebody to come over and get on the phone with you. Like, we could say, hey, we'll call your email provider together, put them on speakerphone. Some people like that. Most people didn't. They could have done that themselves. I think most people know how to dial a phone and talk on it without needing a technician. But so I wrote back to the guy, and I appreciated him replying to me, this journalist. And I said, here's my problem with what you wrote. One, you didn't verify this business owner has any idea what he's doing. Two, you didn't interview the person who left the negative review. Three, you didn't even look on Yelp to see if the person who left the negative review has a history of leaving negative reviews, right? To manipulate companies, as was accused. Then you just wrote a story and you took the side of the small business owner. I said, you're a reporter. Your job should be to have integrity and to listen to both sides of the story and not pick either side. You should be reporting. I said, this isn't news, it's gossip. And I haven't received any response to that. It's insulting to me that people think there's nothing to running a business. If there's nothing to running a business, why is there an MBA degree? Why is there the Wharton School? Why is there W.P. Carey School of Business? Why is there Harvard? I mean, why do these places exist to teach business degrees if it's just so easy anybody can do it? It's insulting to the people who put so much time and effort into education and knowing how to run a business, to have some person who decided, you know what, I'm just going to start my own business, and then I'm going to complain and refuse to accept responsibility for my actions and accuse the very customers that keep me in business of harming my business, and then get the reporter on your side to encourage people not to leave negative reviews or to think twice about leaving one because it could really harm a small business owner. Well, guess what? Whether or not you leave that negative review isn't going to change the future for that small business owner. Anybody who runs a business with that attitude, I guarantee you will be out of business within 1 to 3 years. And I told the reporter, I said, every business that contacted you, every small business that said, thank you for writing that article, will be out of business within 1 to 3 years. I can promise you that. Almost 100%. It may be an exception to the rule, but for the most part, 100%. It is not a sustainable attitude in business. You must learn to take responsibility. You must learn full disclosure. You must learn to set your customers' expectations, and you must learn to meet or beat those expectations. When you do that, you'll have a successful business. And it doesn't matter if you're a chef, if you're a pest control guy, if you're a computer tech or a mechanic, if you're a plumber, if you're a painter, if you're a handyman, it's all the same. All business runs the same. So just because you have a skill in whatever the business represents, running the business side of it isn't just the small part. No, you got it backwards. Running the business is the most difficult part of it. Doing the actual work that the business is there for, that's easy. That's nothing. So anyway, just a little lesson from me to you. What do you do when you're running a business and you get a bad review? Should you respond to the customer on Yelp? Should you ignore it? Should you get into an argument and make accusations at the customer? Well, I'm going to tell you what my philosophy is. When you get a bad review, you're welcome to respond to it if you want to, once. Just once. And even then, I would question whether or not I wanted to do that, if it's worth making right. If you're this entitled, narcissistic business owner who thinks you're being victimized, don't engage the client. What you need to do, instead of replying, if it feels like something you're never going to make right because this person's out to get you, is you bury that review with positive reviews. Nobody ever goes to page 2, right? So when you go to Yelp and you Yelp a business, you're generally looking at the first page. When you Google, you're generally looking at the first page. Nobody, very rarely does anybody ever click on page 2. So your goal as a business owner isn't to argue and fight with your client or to try to get them to change their mind. If you feel like you can, well, of course, go ahead. But the more you reply to it, the more attention you draw to it. Why would you want to draw attention to your negative review, right? So the idea would be ignore it and work hard to get 5-star reviews that will bury that 1 star on page 2, 3, or 4, etc. And no one will see it. Yes, your overall rating will drop from a 5-star to a 4.5. 4.5 is still really damn good. And again, if you continue that, eventually you can get really close to 5 stars. As long as that negative review is there, you're not going to have 100%. But you know, as long as you're at 85% and better, I think you're fine. I don't think you have anything to worry about. If you're dropping below 85%, I think it's time for you to either hire somebody else to run your business or go work for somebody else who knows how to run a business, and you just work, because clearly your skill is in the job, not in the business, right? The job that the business promotes or advertises, right? If you're a pest control guy, maybe you're better off doing the physical pest control work. Let somebody else run the business. So you can go work for somebody else or hire somebody to do the business side of it, because clearly you don't have a clue. This is just advice to help you. It's not meant to insult you. It's meant to say, this is reality. These are the rules we all play by. And if you want to be successful, this is the formula that's worked for me. You can take it or leave it. I don't care. It has no impact on my life whatsoever, whatever you decide to do. Matthew Barnes has contributed £5. He says, thanks for going live. Thank you for your contribution. Ben Fitzpatrick has contributed $5. Hi, Carrie, just bought an Intel Core i5 7400 quad-core CPU. I'm going to live stream the build of the PC. That's great, Ben, and so you should. Radix R3 says, there is a family business grocery store in my area, 7 stores, and has been going strong for 85 years, and they have negative reviews. Yeah, but so you should have it would be normal to have a couple negative reviews. But when you have too many offsetting the positive reviews, something's wrong, right? So just because you have negative reviews doesn't mean you're a bad business. It doesn't, people read into that, you know. But somewhere along the line, you dropped the ball. Somewhere along the line, you didn't meet the customer's expectation that whether or not you realize it, you set it. And whether or not you realized, you didn't meet it. You didn't meet the very expectation you set. That's why customers leave negative reviews. Yes, there may be a customer here or there that's trying to manipulate you and work the system even though you did nothing wrong. That's extraordinarily rare. It's very rare and highly unlikely to happen to you. But if it does, you just bury it under positive reviews. It's never going to outnumber the positive reviews. And there's nothing wrong with asking customers who you feel like they had a good experience, ask them to leave a positive review for Yelp. Brian Cometa over at $300 Data Recovery does that. He's got more reviews than any other data recovery company in the United States, as far as I know. He gets like 3 to 4 new reviews a day. So good luck finding the negative reviews. They're in there somewhere, but for the most part, it's all 5-star, 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 5-star. So if I'm looking for a data recovery place, I'm not worried about the handful of negative reviews he's got. I don't even know I could be bothered to dig through all of the hundreds of reviews to try and find them just to see what the deal was. I would feel very confident sending my drive for data recovery there. Okay, now let me see, where was I? Let me get this out of my way. Yeah, I can't believe that the consumer advocate for the local news station took the side of the small business. That was insane. Don Beverly's contributed $2 and he says, just because. Hey, thank you, Don. Chris's Tech Channel just contributed $2. He says, listen to your Uncle Kerry. He knows his stuff. Well, look. All I'm going to tell you is what I've seen and witnessed in my life is people are not victims of their business going bankrupt. They caused it, and they just simply refuse to accept responsibility. And as long as people are going to refuse to accept responsibility, that's their problem. It has nothing to do with reality. So I don't have any sympathy for them. JHP Hawaii Photo has contributed $2. Thanks for trying. Thanks for trying what? Enjoy your show, and I built a PC. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. All of you that built, repaired, upgraded a computer from watching my videos, I am proud of you. You make me feel very proud. And no matter how you spend your money or where you shop, you cannot buy pride. And you can't feel pride with money. And so that means the world to me. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's get this piece put back in. Let's see how we're going to do this now. That goes in there. This is going to be another one of those situations where I need 3 hands, I think. Let's see. These pipes are pushing this way, these cooling pipes. But when this is screwed in, it should be okay. It's just a little difficult for me to see where those holes need to be. I'm gonna slide this. I'm gonna slide, this slides forward and back, so sliding it mostly this way should line up with that space right there. That's going to be our spot right there. If I can hold it without moving it, it's going to have to get creative. Shoot. Right there's where I need it. Right there. Don't move. Rats. Maybe I shouldn't start at the top. Maybe I need to start down lower. This is really just a decorative piece. It doesn't even need to be in there, but I like the way it looks. Especially when you consider there's going to be a glass panel here showing it off. Maybe I'll start at the bottom, see if I have better luck that way. Definitely need my cordless driver on this. This is too many turns. Okay, we'll go to the next position, which should be right here. Definitely a tight fit. I just need these pipes to go up a little bit. There we go. So you'll see how this really bows out right here, and it's because these pipes are so stiff. I wish that they had put these on a, are they on a swivel? No, they don't swivel. So we're gonna have to just kind of manually hold them up until this piece gets installed. We're just running up against something here that's being uncooperative. Nothing I don't think a nylon zip tie couldn't fix. Hence the thumbnail for today's video. Cable tie tech. Oh, we kind of have a unique problem here. It looks like one of my supports for the bracket goes right where the hose is. So let me see if I can. Might have to move this whole radiator down just a little bit if I can. The support is, it's Murphy's Law that the support for the bracket is hitting right where the hose goes. And because the whole hose is not on a swivel, neither one of them is budging. Sometimes you just need to take a break and think about it for a minute. Look at that, Brytech09 is in the chat. Hey, Brian. I see Colin Hilton. Hi, Colin. William Bailey. Tea Time. Florin Gruya. Tom Scott. Interpret. Vyacheslav Ivanov. GeoSam says the comprehensive information your channel provides was instrumental in shaping my confidence to build my own desktop PC. Thanks, Kerry, for keeping it real. Thank you, GeoSam. I appreciate that very much. Very, very much. Platter Jockey says hello. Superman G says hello. Alhaz Tepej says hello. Tim Burchard, hello. Michael C. Ben DeCure, hello to everybody. 540 people watching live right now. No pressure, Carrie, no pressure. Yeah, I'm not out here to impress people. I'm just here to get some work done. All right, so let's just take a look at what I can do about this little situation right here. Will it budge at all? Can I maybe just... What are the odds of that happening to me? Could I go above it? Can I go below it? I mean, it's not budging one way or the other. So if the entire piece moved down, then will I hit the support below? Maybe. Maybe. But it certainly explains some of my difficulty here, some of my struggle. The struggle is real. What if I went up instead? Can I go up? Can I go down? I need to shift this either up or down to get free of this space of this bracket. Unless I can strong arm it, but I'm afraid of breaking it. I know it's very difficult for you guys to see. You're just gonna take my word, because I can barely see it. In fact, I need to get a flashlight and look in there. I think I'm gonna have to take it slightly apart and address this. So can you see the, I don't know if you can see that bracket. It's hitting this top hose. They just happen to be right in the same alignment. And because the hose doesn't adjust and the bracket doesn't adjust, I don't really have any choice but to pull this back out and raise or lower the whole radiator on the front. But at least NZXT offers that as an option. But it's kind of a pain for just a decorative piece to get in our way. I wish perhaps NZXT made even the brackets adjustable, but that may be asking too much. This only takes a second. It's not a big deal. And remember, building PCs is fun. When you're done, you're just going to want to build another one, so don't be discouraged if you've got to take something back apart. It's not a big deal. There's not that many parts. You look at what Subaru Mike does and all of the hundreds of parts he has to know where they go and he has to deal with them, and then they're all dirty and you get your fingers all greasy, and you don't have to worry about that with a computer unless you're really doing something wrong. So this is a bracket I'm referring to here. This top bracket is hitting this top pipe, and this pipe will not move. You can even see the mounting holes right back here. Can you see the mounting holes? Right there, you can see the mounting hole and you can see the pipe. And that bracket, you see how wide the bracket is? That's just not gonna happen. So the radiator has to be moved. I can move it down or I can move it up, either way. It looks like I have more room to go up, but I don't know until I take this bracket off of here which direction it's gonna let me go. I just didn't use any rhyme or reason when I put it on. I just kind of said, ah, that looks good. I didn't think about the bracket. I didn't even think about those holes. So if you're working with a similar case, it's a pretty easy way to tell. I've only just realized it now. So which way can we go? We can go down, right? So let's just push this all the way down. We don't take the screws out, we just need to loosen them. That's why I said this would only take a minute. All we have to do is loosen these screws. And then that, just like that. Now we've shifted it downward. Let's tighten it back up. Lock it into position. Now when I put this back on, it should just go right in there. That is much better. Now that pipe, I don't know if it's enough room, but it's definitely more room than I had, is not so close to those holes where the bracket's gonna go. And what did that take? 3 minutes? I spent more than 3 minutes trying to avoid doing that. Human mind is kind of strange sometimes, especially mine. All right, I think we're good to go here. Just put this back. Good, good. Feels good. Try this bracket again. That is already a ton better. A ton better. Oh, that's completely flush now. If I can just get it secured, it'll stay that way. Not in the right spot. I am now. I know there's another one here somewhere. There's 2 out of 5. See what it looks like. It's pretty good. If I can move this, you'll see how the whole bracket, it takes the pressure off the bracket right there. And then once the screws hold it in place, it won't bow out like that anymore. It does feel like it's a little bit twisted. I think that's all right. Just one more screw. It does have a slight bow, very slight. Might be a way to maybe throw a nylon zip tie through this slot and around these cables to hold them up, or we could just leave it be. It's not hurting anything. It's mostly just it's just aesthetics. It's just the way it looks. So does it look better with a cable tie? It could be a black cable tie, but still. Or does it look better to just leave it? I think it looks better to just leave it. The bowing isn't hurting anything. One final screw to put this little decorative plate back on. And it lined up beautifully. So just taking the few minutes to move that radiator down ultimately saved me a lot of time. And anytime somebody's going to work on this in the future, that will also be easier for them. See, even when I pick the bracket up at this point, it's almost like it's permanently bowed. I just pushed it in with my hand, it already looks better. Let's try some. Will it make a difference if I just tie these up? No, they're still gonna fall. I was thinking if I just tied them together, the two pipelines here. Heat pipes. Now see, these swivel. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. That's all I had to do. So this side doesn't swivel, but this side does swivel. Look at that. Now we're cooking with gas. Much, much better, much better. And I can just kind of bend that back. Perfect, not warped anymore. Easy peasy. Whew, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to turn my air conditioning down. It is hot, 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 said Buster Poindexter. Google it. Turn that AC down. You're gonna hear that air conditioner kick on any minute. There it goes. As my lights dim. Arizona, you gotta have a serious air conditioner. Especially the longer you stay in Arizona. Get less tolerant to the heat. So these are all the spare parts that came with the liquid cooler. The customer's gonna get that. I still haven't figured out where this little piece came from. I think it came off the case. I don't think it had anything to do with the cooler. I just don't know where or why. It's very bizarre. I figured I'd see it sooner or later, but I just haven't seen it yet. I need to activate this customer's copy of Windows, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to hook up to this screen and turn it around for privacy reasons. I'm sure you understand. I'll be entering a product code. Filming in HD, you guys could read that product code potentially and take it. Not that you would, but better safe than sorry. Got the keyboard and mouse plugged in. Yes, I need power. Good, good. Flip the switch on. It is on. Why are we not turning on? I'm missing something important. What am I not doing right? I'm missing something. Something's got to be pretty obvious if power won't come on. Lights in the back light up. System doesn't boot. I wonder if it's that secondary motherboard power connector for some reason. It's the only thing I can think of that's temporarily disconnected. You know, this cover over the heat shield, I'm sorry, over the VRM heatsink and the IO shield, there's a plastic cover, and you've got to get your finger in there to release the clip, which would be virtually impossible for anybody older than 3. They have fingers that small to get in there. You might have to use like a screwdriver or something to get that out. So instead, I'll just disconnect it from the other side. Let's just take it out from the back of the power supply. Just temporarily here. There we go. Let's see if this makes any difference. Yes, it does. So, for some reason, it cannot have both of the power cables hooked up on that motherboard. It appears you need to have one or the other. I should probably read the instructions. What a concept. And I have to go get a product key. You guys can see that it's booting right there. I'm back here in my office where I've left my phone. So if you're hearing the little taps of my phone, it's because I'm getting about 12 spam calls about student loans and health insurance. It's very bizarre. And despite blocking the numbers, they just keep calling under different numbers, but I continue to block them. When I use an app, it's for free, called Hiya, H-I-Y-A. And I report them all as spam so that if they use that same number for anybody else using Hiya, it will block it for them. All right, so which one of these product codes is Windows 10? I've got a whole sheet load. Yeah, it's sheet, S-H-E-E-T. So when you're an OEM and you're building systems like Dell or HP, you don't get anything but key codes, and they look like, I don't want to bring it too close to the camera, but they look like this. This is like a sheet of 5. And they're all legitimate, real. They cost more than the stuff you get at these places. I've had a couple of those places that sell codes illegally ask me if I would if they could sponsor. They would pay me. And I said, all you have to do, if you would like to be a sponsor for my channel, is show me evidence that you're an authorized Microsoft software distributor. If you're not, then what you're doing is against the Microsoft terms of service, and I cannot accept you as a sponsor. So all you have to do, just show me that you're an authorized Microsoft software distributor, and we'll make a deal. And never once, well, so far 2 companies have done it, and neither of the company returns my email after that. We sometimes are guilty of saying it's illegal. It's actually not so much illegal as it is against Microsoft's terms of service. If you're not self-employed and you have to represent Microsoft products and rely on Microsoft on occasion for help, then it really doesn't matter if you're applying to Microsoft terms of service. But if you own a business that can be audited, you could be fined for it. If you're a computer company that's audited, you can be fined for it. And the fines are incredible. There's a company called the Business Software Alliance. You can go to their website and you can read all the latest news. They publish stories every day about companies that they are suing or fining each and every day. It just goes on and on and on, company after company after company. Big corporations, little companies, computer repair companies, tech support companies. Fine, 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 fine. Nobody cares until it happens to them. It won't happen to me because I don't do that. Okay. Home users, they really don't need to worry about it. They're not coming after you. They're not losing. First of all, they're not losing a lot. And secondly, they can't really go after you. For what it'll cost to go after you, they won't recover back. So it's really the distributors they're most interested in. People selling and profiting from their products, which makes sense. Let me activate. Let's do an activation. Why am I using this mouse? This is not the mouse. I need this keyboard and mouse over here. All right. Yeah, I'm slightly amused. I'm like, yeah, no problem. We can make a deal. Just what's your Microsoft authorized distribution ID, and we can move forward. It's weird. They never return my email. But you should see these emails. Yeah, we offer customers great value in software licensing for operating systems, Microsoft Office, and video games. Great. That's wonderful. It sounds like you're really performing a wonderful service. I just need your Microsoft reseller ID. They can't provide it because what they're doing violates Microsoft terms of service. Okay, so that's why you do see those advertisements for these places on other YouTube tech channels, because they don't do their due diligence, because apparently they care more about the money than following the rules. One could argue that they're Microsoft rules and not rules of the United States, but until they're challenged in a court of law, they very much could be law of the United States. I have other things to do with my time than spend it in a courtroom. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a computer tech, and I'd like to focus my time on what I know. What earns me money, not what costs me money. All right, let's get Windows activated. Activation. And I need to get some glasses. They write these codes so tiny now. They must think I'm the size of a mouse. I'll be like, wow, look at this billboard. I guess I'm going to start at the top. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button. I see Ben DeCures contributed $4.99. He says, hi, Carrie. Happy to see you today. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, Ben. Andy Nicolaus contributed £2. He says, I've watched all your vids, and now I'm a moderator live. Oh, very good, Andy. Thank you. Thanks for being such a loyal viewer. I appreciate that. All right, use the right mouse this time. Click change product key. Remember, we installed without a product key. I type the word activation into the search bar. I click change product key, and now I can enter the key that I need glasses to read. I've typed it completely into the wrong keyboard because I'm an idiot. Oh, how many times am I going to get myself in trouble with that? I need this keyboard right here. All right. We're going to try this for the third time. Yeah, it's going across this time. All right, it's processing it now. I might have typed the code wrong. Let's go back. Code is not working. So if this ever happens to me, I go back to my distributor, my authorized Microsoft license distributor, and they replace it. Sometimes this does happen, especially if there's been a breach between the time I was sold the codes and the time I used the code, if the database was breached. Okay, so that one worked. So this first one I got an issue with. So I'm going to take this one off of my list, and I will scan it and send it back to my distributor, and they will probably have me destroy or throw it away. It doesn't matter if I destroy it, it doesn't work. And then they'll send me a replacement. Try getting that from your $3 key that doesn't work online. Good luck getting any customer service with that, especially you're not going to get any from Microsoft. Okay, so we are activated, and I'm just going to place this. Actually, I'm going to cut this one out since I don't want to forget which code I used, because they can only be used once. This one will go in the box with the motherboard. Okay, customers legal. I'm going to put these back in my office where I can find them the next time I need them. I think all I have to do now is cable management, and then we're done. And I bet this gentleman in Louisiana is going to be really excited. I know I would be if I was getting this thing. If anybody wants to have me work on a computer, build a computer, you can email me. What is a little frustrating for me are the number of people who have never given anything in return for what I give. And then they reach out to me oftentimes on Facebook, and they ask me how to fix their computer as though they hired me. It feels a little abusive. It feels like I'm getting taken advantage of. So I just advise people go to a free tech support site like techguy.org. But when people, show that they value my time and that the knowledge that I share, that should be enough that you get for free, right? So if you want something else from me, do the right thing and offer me something. I don't mind helping people if I'm getting paid for it or if they have shown support for the channel. Everybody who has contributed through the TechVets donation page, tech-vets.com, if you hit the donate button, I always say thank you to everybody. That's my personal email address that I am sending you the thank you from. And if you contact me through that email address with technical support questions, of course I'm going to help you because you've given back, so I will give back. But for people who never give anything and they just want to ask me for help, I just feel like you're using me and you don't think I have anything else better to do. And why should I prioritize your help over somebody who's given back? How many hours are there in a day, right? So I hope you understand that it's not really about being mean or being a jerk or anything. It's just really about not letting people walk on me. That being said, my email address, if you want to reach out for any business inquiries, is in the About page on YouTube, or you can go to tech-vets.com and reach out to me there. Again, that's for business inquiries. That means you're not asking me for something for free. You want your computer built, you want a computer fixed, you want a computer upgraded, you want to sponsor the channel to promote your business, we certainly would hear whatever you've got to say. If what you're looking for is free technical support, you have no money or you refuse to pay for it, that's fine. There's a website called techguy.org, It's techguy.org. And there are volunteers there that will help you on every topic, hardware, software, Tupperware, it's all covered. So I just want to direct you so that we can both save some time and have happier lives. And of course, my huge appreciation goes out to everybody who does support the channel. It's because of you I'm able to do all these videos day after day. Much of this work could be done at night. I would have finished this up last night, but I saved it for you guys. And I hope that doesn't upset my customer. I think the customer likes seeing their system worked on too, though. In fact, I think he's in there today. All right, cable management time, methinks. I'll be very curious to follow up with this customer to see how this GAMDS liquid cooler holds up over time. Maybe something you start seeing me use and recommend. I mean, it's dead silent, it looks pretty, and of course, it hooks onto the motherboard to be controlled by the Gigabyte software, or the MSI software, or the ASUS software. It's compatible with all three of their RGB lighting technology that they built into their boards. And I'm going to go ahead and just take some of this stuff off that we put on yesterday. The customer doesn't need HW info, and they don't need HW monitor, and they don't need Prime 95. I'll leave the Heaven benchmark on there so they can run it at home. Now I can add the My Computer desktop. I just go to personalize, I go to themes, I go change desktop icons. I add the computer icon, click OK, close it out, and then I sort by name, and then it's reverse alphabetical. It's Z to A. Let's put it in sort by name again. It'll go A to Z. So now this PC is right up here at the top where I like it, and everything looks good. I also like to disable the hidden icons. I come down here, I right click, and I go to taskbar settings, and I scroll down to turn system icons on or off. No, that's not it. It's the one above it. Where is it? Select which icons appear on the taskbar. It says always show all icons in the notification area. I turn that on, and you'll see now this whole section down here is, I can see everything that's running right here. And there's probably something about OneDrive here. I'll dismiss that, and I'll dismiss that. Oops. Dismiss, dismiss. And of course now Windows security is happy, and I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. Shut her down. All right, let's take a look at, if I missed anything in the last few minutes. Nope, everything's good. Everything's happy. Very good, thank you. We have 646 people watching live. Hey guys, thanks for joining us here on the Real Tech channel. That's right, it's a Real Tech showing real work on a real computer that's going to a real customer. Can you imagine such a channel on YouTube? Not just hobbyists and enthusiasts playing around all day with no accountability or responsibility. Did it ever occur to you that you were watching channels that they were just goofing off with no sense of accounting for what they do? I don't get away with that. If I have an upset customer, my business is in jeopardy. I'm not big enough to afford having too many upset customers. And in my business, one is too many. So, I want to figure out what's going on with that power cable. So let me pull the motherboard manual out and find out what it says about the motherboard power. Manual. Probably gonna need my glasses again. These are my super powerful glasses. These are like a 3 magnification, which is like too much. That's all right. Let's see what it says here about power. Product specs. Installing the CPU. Onboard LEDs and switches. Oh, here we go. So this is what I'm interested in right here. Let's see what it says. With the use of the power connector, the power supply can supply enough stable power to all components on the motherboard. Before connecting the power connector, first make sure the power supply is turned off and all devices are properly installed. I wonder where they got that idea from. The power connector possesses a foolproof design. Connect the power cable to the power connector in the right orientation. The 12-volt power connector mainly supplies power to the CPU. If the 12-volt power connector is not connected, the computer will not start. To meet expansion requirements, it's recommended that a power supply that can withstand high power consumption be used at 500 watts or greater. If a power supply is used that does not provide the required power, the result can lead to an unstable or an unbootable system. It shows 3 connectors. It shows an ATX 12-volt and an ATX 12-volt 1. Right, that's the 12-volt right there. That's the 12-volt 1, and then that's the 24-pin. Now, it doesn't say anything about hooking all 3 up, nor does it warn against it. It doesn't say to use one or the other. Anybody in the chat know anything about this? Who makes this? This is Gigabyte. You know, it just says if the 12-volt power connector is not connected, the computer will not start, but it says nothing if you connect them both, or whether you should connect them both, or if you should connect one or the other. Experience, regardless of what the manual says, experience tells us that when we hook them both up, the computer won't start. Is the cable in the right port in the power supply? The power connector possesses a foolproof design. In other words, you can't plug it in anywhere else, so you can't plug it in the wrong place. Dave 3DFX says the additional 4-pin is for overclocking. Well, not if the computer won't turn on when it's plugged in, it isn't. You're not going to do much over. What, are you overclocking it off a cliff? There's some guy named Cliff going, what did I do? Marty says, hi, Carrie. I'm building my new PC next week. Hope all is well. Have a good day. Is the motherboard faulty? Nothing indicates the motherboard is faulty. Yes, we all know 8-pin is enough. I had this conversation with the customer already. The idea was, if it doesn't hurt to have it, why don't we plug it in since we have it? Joshua says, hey, Carrie, from your home state, I totally thought of you in that shirt when I passed by Leelanau Cellars. That's awesome. But funny enough, I'm not a wine drinker, my wife is, but they had the best shirts there. I need to go, maybe I need to have you go back to Leelanau Cellars and buy me another shirt. They were cheap. They're comfortable, it fits well, and I like the way it looks. They're not a t-shirt place. They're a wine cellar. 4-pin is for extreme situations. Yeah, I know. It extremely won't turn on when I plug it in. Is there a BIOS setting for it? How can I get into the BIOS when I plug it in and it won't turn on? No, guys, no. Check the 4 pins, make sure the ground is not bad. Let me just take another look at it. Like I say, these connectors only go in one way. You can't put them in wrong. Here's the make and model of the board. I'll just put the box up there if you guys want to Google for me. I'd appreciate it. This is the CPU power connector. Let me grab a, did I leave my flashlight? I didn't. I always put everything away, so I always know where to find it. Let's take a look in here, see what's going on. Oh. Okay, my bad. So here's what happened. Now that I see it, I can see clearly now. I got some light. Let me plug this other end back into the back of the power supply. It should not have been possible. It should not have been possible. But there's a clip on this connector, yes? And it looked to me without the flashlight that the clip went between the I/O shield, but the clip is actually on top where it belongs. So I had the clip on. I don't know how I plugged that in wrong. It should not have been possible, but apparently it is possible. Now it's plugged in correctly. And so I'm going to share a little story with you, because this is a valuable example of what I deal with on a regular basis. People that are most comfortable with technology are the first ones to blame the technology when something goes wrong. People who are least comfortable with technology blame themselves. They say, I must have done something wrong. And in almost every instance, it's exactly the opposite. The person who says, I did everything right, didn't do everything right. They go, I did everything right. The system's not working. Something's wrong with the system. No, your confidence is your humility. That's what it needs to be. The end user, the typical end user that's like, this stuff is intimidating, I'm sure I screwed it up. Usually they did nothing wrong. There was something wrong with the computer. And I'm a living example of that very thing just now. It's exactly what I did. I let my confidence temporarily override the first assumption, which should have been, what did I do wrong? That's what my first assumption should have been. But you've got to recognize this and then address it. And then through practice and ritual, just doing it over and over again, change that habit. Stop being so darn self-confident. People that go skydiving rarely ever die on their first skydiving attempt. Rarely. The people who generally die in skydiving accidents are the people who've done it 1,000 times. And they're just so darn overconfident, they fail to do all the checks. When a pilot flies a plane, there's a checklist that has to be gone through. And it doesn't matter if the pilot's flying for the very first time or the pilot has been flying for 40 years. That same checklist has to be followed every single time, because the consequences are far too great. Think about it. I bet you, Chad, it'll turn on now. I bet you it will. Didn't hurt anything other than my pride. There's not much of that left anyway. All right. That's not true. I'm very proud of the work I do. Look at that. When you plug it in right, it actually works. I honestly did not believe that cable would have snapped in 45 degrees off. Usually you can't do that. But if it can be done, I'm the guy that can get it done. What are you gonna do? We live and we learn. Move on. Very important in this business. You've got to learn to accept responsibility for your mistakes, own up to it, and learn from it, and do your best not to do that again and do something else wrong. Just don't do the same thing wrong twice in a row. don't do skydiving if you like life. I disagree. I've never felt more alive. Never in my life have I ever felt anything like skydiving. Skydiving is, everybody should have to do it at least once. When you're young, it's an amazing experience. It's loud and chaotic for the free fall. If you've never fallen for 45 seconds, just falling, nothing but falling for 45 seconds, it's loud and it's chaotic. And then when that parachute opens, it's the exact opposite. It's very peaceful, it's silent, peaceful. The whole world's down below you, and it's just, everything goes into slow motion, and it's just real quiet and serene. It's just one extreme to the next. What an amazing experience. I skydived from about 12,000 feet, about almost, I won't say 2 miles up. I only did it once, and that's my biggest regret, is I only did it once. What a great experience. Oh, wow. People go, well, I'm afraid of heights. I got news for you. At 2 miles up, everybody's afraid of heights. It's not what it's about. It's about living. So yeah, you might be alive, but are you living? To each his own. Steven says, I'm not jumping out of a perfect good airplane. If you've ever seen the planes that are taking people up for skydiving, you'll want out of it. They're rickety buckets of bolts. You got to lay down on the floor or get cramped in with that barely holds 5 people in this rickety bucket of bolts. Yeah, you almost feel safer out of that thing than you do in it. I was happy to get out of that plane. John says, hello, Carrie from Washington State. I appreciate what you do for us. Normally, advice is not free. Oh, that's not true at all. There's nothing but free advice on the internet. And it's mostly all awful, inaccurate, and unrelated to you and your needs, wants, desires, and expectations. I would say, if you're going to take advice from somebody, also get their name and phone number, so that if their advice doesn't work out, you can call them and ask them for help. If they refuse to give you their name and phone number, then you should refuse to take their advice. Think about it. What is the name of that cooler? It's called a Camtasia. That's the manufacturer, Camtasia. Here's the box. Xion E1 120RA. And there is a link to it in the video description in the previous video. And I can add a link to it to this video later on as well. You guys get it? You got it? All right. Now, Dave wants to know if the all-in-one is on pull and not push. It's on pull because of the configuration of the case. But if you actually tested pull versus push, you'll find that there's almost a negligible difference in cooling capability. Either way, air is being drawn through the radiator, whether it's being pushed or pulled. And it's basically the same amount of a CFM regardless, so it doesn't matter. My preference is always a push, but in this case, I had to do pull for the aesthetics of it. And we did do the tests, the temperature tests, and it's working very, very well. So push versus pull is something only extreme nerds worry about. Normal people, I don't want to say normal. I mean, average, ordinary computer owners don't think about that stuff. If your computer's not overheating, you're not fixing anything. Does it perform better than the Kraken? Well, look, it's 120 millimeter versus, the Kraken, which is what, 240, 260. I'm sorry, 240, 280. So the bigger the radiator is, the better it's going to cool. That's just science. Science! This case wouldn't fit a Kraken, not the X62, maybe the X52, but Kraken wasn't giving me any coolers. Camtasia was. And your guy's obsession with heat is really not healthy. It really isn't healthy, guys. Mentally, it's not good for you to have such anxiety and concern over something that really doesn't matter. Unless you're an extremist. And if you're an extremist, you're at the wrong channel. I don't do anything extreme here. I'm showing people how to build ordinary computers that are going to be good, reliable, cost-effective. That's what we teach. That's what I teach here. I don't teach extremism. That's more hobbyist stuff. Again, no corporation in the IT industry is going to pay you for that knowledge of push versus pull or X52 versus Shield. No, nobody cares. Not in the business world. Not where money is changing hands and people are paying. That's all hobbyist nonsense as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, most of the YouTube tech channels, you seem to be sort of hung up on those. I really would hope that you will let your grip go a little bit. But if you don't, you're not going to be happy here. All right, I got to get this cabling done. I got to figure out where we're going to put this thing. This could be a good place for it. I mean, it's going to be seen. I could kind of put it right here. Yeah. I mean, I do have spots for cables right down here. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? Here's my antenna for the Wi-Fi. Let's get that out of the way. Ooh, that's got a magnet on it too. I really like that. I like when a company gives you a magnet on the antenna base. They should all do that. And this has magnets as well. So let me think, how do I want to do that? How do I want to run this? I also have to hook up the RGB color to the motherboard header. Well, let's do that too. And there's two different connectors. I'm guessing one's for one kind of motherboard header and this one's for another kind. You don't hook them both, just one or the other. And then this white connector, I assume, will go into the white plug. Right there's a white plug. Right, so those two things probably go together. See if it fits. Yeah, it fits. Very good. So let me shut this back down and let's get that out of the way. I can just hit the power button and it will go cycle through the power shutdown. The case is not scratched. I know what you're talking about. There's a, right up here on the front, you see there's a mark there. That's not a scratch. That's, when I'm done, I'm gonna wipe it down. That's gonna wipe off. It's just some oil or something. And this is not scratching the case. Once again, there's this really unhealthy, I see this a lot with many of you guys, where you obsess and have anxiety over things that don't exist. Case is not scratched. I don't know, it's just weird to me. It's as if you don't think, it's almost like you think this is my first day. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, guys. Almost 30 years. And there are times when I have made a mistake. It happens a lot. I'm not ashamed of it. If you don't make mistakes, you're not learning. And if you're not learning, I feel sorry for you. But I haven't scratched this gentleman's case. And I would appreciate you not insinuating that in a public forum in front of all of my audience, as though you're trying to humiliate me. What did I do to you? Please don't do that. Or I'll ask you to leave if you can't stop. It's very disrespectful. It's like you're trying to prove you're smarter than me, and I'm not interested. I could care less. All right, let's take a look. Let me unplug these cables from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these cables out. Okay, let's just take a look at where we can put this where it's going to look good. I need my flashlight again. Just to determine where the other end of this cable needs to go on this board. That'll help me decide where I want to place this. Those are fan connectors. I think this is the connector right over here next to the audio cable. I think that's it. I can't read it. Let me pull the motherboard manual back out. Pretty sure that's it though. Let's take a look. Jacksta says there's too many mods in here. Well, then maybe you need to leave. How about that? If you can't obey the rules, it shouldn't matter. If you are obeying the rules, it won't matter how many mods there are. The only reason you should care how many mods there are is if you're not following the rules. If you're some narcissistic, entitled person who thinks the rules don't apply to you, you're welcome to go. Nobody asked you. You see, I don't have tolerance for this. I'm giving this stuff away for free. You're welcome to take it if you want it, but don't come in here making any demands. Don't come in here making up your own rules. You can leave. The mods are there to make sure everybody's treated equally. You insult the mods, you insult me. Because it looks like we have two LED strip headers, and they are located where? There's some temp headers. Okay, here we are, 10 and 11. What was I pointing at? 16. Oh, that's SPDIF, so that was not an RGB header. The RGB header is right next to it. Number 10 and number 11. So 10 and 11, which are, so the camera's not set on autofocus, so it's going to be a little blurry. But the 10 and 11 connectors are right beside where I was. Let's see. Hmm. And 11. So it sits between the SPDIF socket and the, what's that other one? Number 9. Number 9 is also another LED. So there's 3 LED things right in a row, and then it's the USB port. Oh, sorry, it's the TPM port. Okay. The trusted platform module, which we never use. Corporations sometimes use that, but home users don't need that. So nothing to worry about. Let's take a look again with my flashlight. Let's see. Ah, yes. I see now. It appears on this connector, we have a 3-pin and we have a 4-pin. And on the motherboard, we have a 5-pin and a 2-pin. Oh, there is a 3-pin. I found it. That's why they give us 3 connectors. All 3 connectors are for LED. Oh, the 5-pin one is for an LED demo. Okay, so we're not going to use that. But how do I know? Oh, I see it says VDG. How do I know Oh, I guess you just line up. It says VDG on the connector. You guys can't see it, but just below the connector, etched on the motherboard, it says VDG, starting on the left, going to the right. So I have to line up where it says VDG here on this 3-pin, which will be with the letters facing down, and then place it on the connector, and that will, because there's nothing that prevents you from plugging it in upside down. And that's going to go like that. Okay, much better. And then we can use a zip tie to clean up that cabling there. Or I could even potentially push it out through the other side and just hide it in the back where you won't see it through the window. Let's take a look here. All right, then I have to give it some power. So let's run the power cable in through here as well. This little corner is going to end up getting a little crowded because of the RGB lighting. There's a certain irony that people that want to show off their cases by adding RGB lighting. Not that this customer asked for it. They did get this RGB, but you're adding so many cables that requires a lot more cable management, which challenges your ability to make the computer look nice, which is why you got the RGB, was to make the computer look nice. You gotta love the irony in that. Life has a way of just really emphasizing the expression, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. All right, let's go right there. There we go. Okay, and then we have one more, and that's the pump power and fan power that plug into this as well. Oops, I got a cable I gotta fix here. I didn't realize when I did this I routed it in a non-efficient manner, so let me just reroute that cable one more time. There we go. Okay, and then power, final one here. How am I going to route this? We'll just run it direct. I'll go into this side of it just to be making it look as clean as possible. And then we're going to come in. Where is it? Where did it go? Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Oh, I see. There it is. There it is. Oh, you stinker. This one will go. Maybe it'll be better if I turn it around this way, and then I can hide this cable. I'll plug it into fan 1. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to look pretty good. I think so. Let's make sure I didn't break it. Let's turn it back on. And make sure everything works. Why isn't that lighting up? Something not plugged in correctly? That's got me concerned. I'm going to shut this off. I don't want that running without the pump running. I don't think I have something plugged in all the way. That looks good. Let me check the back. We're good here. Oh, yep. Left one off. That explains that. Well, we know what that one does. So that's going to be obviously an LED. That one will go. It's so dark in there, guys. This is why we do testing. Before we button it all up, we want to make sure everything works like it should. Try again. That's better. That's much better. See a couple of contributions have come in here. Let's take a look at what we got going on that I missed while I was working. Andy Nicolo has contributed £2, and then he did it again. Well, thank you, Andy. Thanks for your support. I appreciate your contribution. Oh, the Duke is apologizing. No, thank you, Duke. Listen, I don't know you, and you don't know me. So when you make a comment like that, it looks like you're attacking me. If we get to know each other and you want to rib me and joke around a little bit, I get it. Part of the reason you see so many people's names in blue isn't that their job is to enforce any rules. It's that I know that they're good supporters of the channel. And if I see something from them that looks like it could be taken as an insult, they immediately have the benefit of the doubt because I know because their name is in blue that they've been supporting the channel. When somebody comes in and they criticize and I've never really noticed or seen them before, I immediately go on the defensive because there's just a big troll problem on the internet, and I just don't have tolerance for it. So if I kind of came out at you a little strong, it's just because it's how I've been conditioned by people on the internet. It's something I have to do to shut it down immediately. So anyway. Thank you for not being a jerk about it. We can move forward from there now that we know each other a little better. Remus Constantine has contributed £5 and says hello. Hi, Remus. Thank you. Thank you for contributing. I appreciate it. When is my next live PC Club presentation? I don't know it off the top of my head. It's in November. I think it's middle of November. I'll film it. Yes, I agree. There's not too many moderators. There's too many trolls. Anybody who complains about there being too many moderators is probably a troll. And if you're joking about it, It's really hard to know if you're joking if you don't use emojis. So it looks like you're trolling when you make a comment like that. I'm just warning you, you may not like the consequences of what you thought might have been a joke or intended as a joke. If you don't understand what an emoji is and why they exist, it's very easily to be misinterpreted and then suffer the consequences over what you thought would be funny. Evan Devereaux has contributed $10. Thank you, Evan. Yeah, jokes don't really play out well in text messages unless you add an emoji to it that implies it was meant as a joke. And if you don't, it means you meant it. And if you meant it, well, the mods are going to do their job. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So the final part of all of this now, everything's working, everything's configured, everything looks fantastic, is now the cable management aspect. I don't like to film, excuse me, I don't like to film the cable management part because it's very, very boring and very little of what I do will apply to you. Every computer is different. The length of the cables, depending on the power supply, the size of the case, the number of hardware components you have, whether it's modular or not modular, varies from system to system. That's the point of being in this business, is I get to work on things that are different all the time. If I wanted to work on everything that was the same all the time, I'd go work for Apple. What a boring, mindless job that must be, working for Apple. But be that as it may, to each his own. That's what draws me to the PC world, is the variety and the fact that rarely do you see two computers that are alike, unless you're in an office building. Then of course they all should be the same. But systems like this, I've never in my 30 years built a system like this before. I've built systems like it, but not exactly like it. So the cable management rules are you just work with what you have and you do the best to make it look good. That's all there is. There's really no secret to it. And you may not nail it the first time. You might move a cable and get a zip tie and tie it down and think, it doesn't look very good. You cut the zip tie and do it again. And you cut the zip tie and you do it again. It is a practice makes perfect type of situation for each unique rig that you work on. There is no rule to follow. It's hard to define what is aesthetically pleasing to one person versus to another person. In general, you want to hide the cables as much as possible. Well, what is possible is pretty much left up to a combination of your imagination, what your case manufacturer gives you for management, and the amount of cables you have to manage. And you have to just use your own human judgment and figure it out. So that's why I said there's not a whole lot to teach about cable management. But it is kind of fun to show it every once in a while. That's the back of the case, and that's what we got to deal with right now. And I do have a cable up here in the front on the water block. I've got a zip tie. And that extra 8-pin CPU power cable I want to zip tie. That's the only two cables up front I have to worry about. Everything else up front is pretty much already managed by the case design. So kudos to NZXT for that. Yeah, there are some cases, especially older cases and very inexpensive cases, that don't allow for any cable management at all. And I have seen people try and do cable management and they pinch their cables and actually cut through they run the cables behind the motherboard tray where there is no room for any cables, and they do it anyway. And then they short out the motherboard and smoke the whole system. I wouldn't jeopardize the integrity of a system over the looks of the system, but that's just me. I'm just funny that way, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with this and something with this, right? I'll wire tie those two cables right there. That's the only two up front I've got to worry about. Everything else looks fantastic. It's going to be a good looking case. And then we have a glass panel that's going to go on here. And I'll wipe the whole thing down. I'll get some cleaner and we'll wipe it down. That's not a scratch. These are fingerprints. It's a shame that the case kind of shows that, because even when I wipe it down, the minute I pick it up, I want to put fingerprints on it again. So I'm sure that in the box it probably came with a plastic bag. So I'll be careful that when I get all this cleaned, I'll put the plastic bag on it and then I'll grab it so I won't leave any fingerprints. The customer will deal with that when they get it. but it doesn't take much. I mentioned there are oils on your skin, and that's just all that is. That's all it is. You'll see. When we get there, you'll see I'm not just giving you lip service. You'll see what I tell you is true when we get to that point. But we can't get there until we do this part first. How do I want to do it? I'm going to put a little cable tie. Let me get my cable ties. It's cable tie time. Yeah, baby. I use two different kinds of cable ties. I've got the 8-inch cable ties for big bulk, thick cables, like the big power cables that go to the motherboard. Primarily, I use the 4-inch cable ties because they're just a lot easier to work with. They're less expensive, so I can, you know, if I make some mistakes, it really doesn't cost me anything to worry about. If I have to, you know, I put it on, realize it doesn't really work, cut it off, put another one on, and repeat as necessary. Some of these, I think, are 5-inch cable ties. Those are the ones that came with the case. They're close enough. They look alike. The customer won't know the difference. When we tighten them up and cut the pigtails off, it'll look the same. We want to get all the wire ties off of here, though. We don't want any wire like that in the system. Throw those out. Never use those in your case. And you'll see there's a little loop, and we can run that through the loop. In good cases, oh, it's 2 loops, even better. Good cases will give you these little loops. And you can just run a cable tie right through. You can do either one or both. I think one actually looks better, but this case also comes with some Velcro, and you could use that. I just prefer to use the cable ties. I struggle with the Velcro. It takes more time for me, and I'd rather spend less time and use a cable tie. And of course, if the customer doesn't like it, they're included in the box of parts, and the customer is certainly welcome to change it out himself or herself, as the case may be. It's a tight fit. Not sure why. And the cables don't necessarily have to be super tight either. You just want to make sure that the cables that you're tying down aren't going to go anywhere. You don't have to, you know, really torque it down. You see how loose that is? I would like it a little tighter, but because of the way that these tie downs are spaced, it's difficult to move. But that cable's not coming out, and that's why I'm doing it. So that's good enough. It can be loose. We've got another one down here at the bottom. I want to take that out. And we can take all these cables. Let me see how I want to do that. See, this cable is going to have to be rerouted. It kind of interweaves, and I don't want that. I want a straight line. So this is our front port audio cable. Let me correct that right now. Let's dump that. Front port audio is right here. This just takes a second, as you'll see. What was that? Oh, my cable ties. Had it too close to the Lazy Susan. Let me just move that out of the way. There we go. Yeah, drop the lid too. Okay. Okay. So on this audio cable, I'm just going to pull this through all the way and just completely untangle it from interweaving all these other cables. Didn't matter when we were testing or when we were building. I try to think of that so I don't have to do this, but sometimes, especially when I get thrown, when I'm trying to diagnose a problem like the 8-pin or the 4-pin CPU power cable or the LED light not coming on after I've worked on it, it kind of throws me off my game a little bit. But it's the least of my concerns since it's so easily corrected. So what I want to do here is I just want to look at what the most efficient route for this cable is going to be. Remember, nobody's going to see anything back here. This entire area will not be seen. And there's a cover underneath here. So we can, if we wanted to just grab cables and shove them in there without any cable management, you could do that. It's going to look fantastic from the front, but working on it is not going to be fun. I'll tell you that right now. And like this cable here, they've already given us the cable ties. And you can just route it. Look at it. Look at how cool this is. You can just take this big, this is the fattest cable of all of them. It's the motherboard 24-pin power cable. And look at that. I don't even have to use a zip tie. How cool is that? It just holds it in for us. And this cable that's running alongside, that's a front fan there. I don't know why it goes down and up. It could just go. Let's do this again. See how these interweave? I don't like that. So what I can do to fix that is find out where this is going. It's going right up here at the top. And let's address this right now. Like that. And then we can feed it in there. And then this one can go right on top. Right? Following me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Go right like that. Oops. This one will go on the next track, not on top. That again will make it easier to work on it in the future. They actually show the way that the manufacturer did this is they ran the cable behind the nylon zip tie, which I could repeat. We just pulled the nylon, it's not a nylon zip tie, the Velcro zip tie. We can just loop it like a belt. Just like that. That's going to make that look nice and clean. And that's all built into the case. When you buy an NZXT case, like, well, this is the very example of the H500 that we're working on. This is how it came. I did not add these. This is how it came from the factory out of the box. Now I can adjust this length as I need to make sure, before I tighten anything down, that I can reach the inside where it was and make sure that that's plugged back in. And we might be pulling on the cable so tightly during this process that we end up inadvertently pulling it off the connector, even slightly. So when we're done, before we put the panels on, but after the cable management's completed, or we believe that the cable management is completed, we need to do another power on self-test to make sure all the fans are turning and make sure everything boots up properly, just to ensure that we didn't knock any cables off. And then of course a visual inspection. That final boot up then means everything's kosher. We can go ahead and put the panels back on, get some Windex and a paper towel or a microfiber cloth and some water, damp water, depends on what you're trying to clean up, and then clean the panels, clean the front, get all those little fingerprints off of there. And then we put the plastic bag over it, put it back in the box the case was shipped in, and then that box will go to a bigger box laying down with the video card sitting straight down. We have to mark the box to know which side is up. We don't want the video card hanging upside down in shipping from here to the customer. That's a good way to break something. And while I can't guarantee the shipper is going to honor the right side up, we do make sure that the address label is put on top of the box so the shipper can't see where the box is going unless it's laying flat. So ideally, it'll lay flat for most of the journey, and it's double boxed. And it's been working well for me so far. Oh, contribution has come in. Who contributed? Who was that from? Sharon Idle. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Sharon's contributed £5. This is my first super chat, just testing the system. Your advice is priceless. Sharon, you rock. Thank you so much. What happened to Life 101? Life 101 is a series. It'll be another video channel I'm doing where I just share my experiences and philosophies on life. It's postponed for now until I get caught up on work. Customers always come first. It's still something I'm going to do. I already have one of the interviews done. I've actually got a couple of videos done. They need editing. And I'm just going to share with you my experiences in life. And I do hope that either people relate to it or younger people use that. This is stuff not taught in schools, and I hope they use it to move forward in life faster, more efficiently than I have, and will be able to then use it in both personal and business to overclock their lives. That's the kind of overclocking I want to see. I want to see people learn from others' experiences so they don't have to keep repeating the same mistakes. Let them make new mistakes and let them pass that information on. And let's evolve faster as a species. That's what I'd like to see. Whether or not it actually does that, I don't know. But I think I'll enjoy sharing the stories, and I think some people will enjoy hearing them, even if it's just for entertainment. So it's still on the to-do list. It's just not a high priority, not when there's customers waiting. Okay, so this is my audio cable, and I need to fix this audio cable. Let's go up here. And then this goes, I can't see where this goes. I think it goes, is it up or down? I can't, it's so dark in the case, I can't see where the missing pin is. The connector only goes on one way. Yeah, missing pin is on the bottom. Okay. There it goes. I have to fix that. I don't like that either. I don't like it. I don't like it. This is nothing you should do in a hurry, by the way. You should really take your time and enjoy your build, because you will want to build another one. That's how enjoyable it really is. Really and truly. Ask anybody who's done it. That's just a temporary cable tie for right now. See how I'm just making sure all these cables are not interweaving. Every cable runs its own individual route. So if you have to work on this in the future, you won't have to untie a bunch of cable management to just get at one cable. You'll be able to just get to that one cable really quickly. And you know, it's possible, it may be necessary to use a nylon zip tie to take a bunch of cables together, and that's fine if you got to cut one, but then after that you can pull each cable individually and not be hung up and undo a lot of cable management. There we go. I like it better that way. Every time I put that flashlight away, I need it again, so I'm going to leave it out. Murphy's Law says if I leave it out, I won't need it anymore. I don't know why. I stopped asking why. I just deal with it. Try to stay productive. All right, now, here we go with this little issue. If we take these cables, let's take a look at the two 8-pin cables here. We can go with one of the longer nylon zip ties that came with the, I don't know if it came with the case or it came with the power supply, I can't remember. But that can go right up here in this corner. We've got another tie down. I love all the tie downs in this case. I'm really starting to dig NZXT cases, guys. I am really getting impressed by them. They are a bit expensive, and the lack of front ports, you know, to put a DVD or a memory card is becoming less critical as time marches forward. Less and less people want them, but it would be nice to have the choice, to be honest. Notice I'm not tightening that all the way down. I still want to be able to pull the cable as need be. You see what I'm doing? Using every cable tie down here. Now the good thing about modular cables on the power supply is if the power supply should fail, sometimes they do, all the customer has to do is either warranty the power supply by unplugging these modular cables and taking the 4 screws out. He doesn't have to undo all the cables or the management. Or he can get another power supply if he can't wait for the RMA, or if he's out of warranty, he can get another power supply that uses the same modular cables, preferably get the same make and model, and you won't have to worry about it. And once again, you're just going to unplug from the back of the power supply, remove 4 screws, take that out, put another one in, put 4 screws in, plug the cables back in, you're done. You're back up and running. That's how easy cable management makes working on computers in the future. If it's done right. If it's done wrong, it actually makes it more difficult. These come off. These are your 2.5-inch drive bays. I'm going to keep them in there, but it's just too hard to get to the tie down with it in. So I'm going to just take it out for a minute, and we'll put that right up here. So one of the other things I think you can do with an NZXT case is you can actually move these around. Like let's say you didn't like this here. Maybe you want this to be shown off. See all these holes up here? I think you can just put it anywhere. I think, or is it not true? I might be wrong. That locked in right there. So you see all these holes right across the top, and there's little nubs that stick out, and you see I'm squeezing it right there. See the top? I'm squeezing. And then you can lock that in. Maybe not vertically though. Maybe it's got to be horizontal, or maybe I'm just doing it wrong. It may not work on this case. On some NZXT cases you can do it, and I could be just doing it wrong. It definitely does this. It definitely goes horizontally though, for sure. And I could take it right to the edge, no problem, anywhere. If I want to move it further back, further left, further right, or I can just put it back where it was. It's that easy to do. And that's why I'm really starting to like these NZXT designs. It's almost as if they had the builder in mind. Can you imagine? Or you can just take them out, right? If you, for whatever reason, you don't like the way it looks, you just want to make your case lighter, and make sure you get the cables out of the way or it's not going to burn. So it accommodates lots of people's wants, needs, and desires. Yeah, we're in. That looks good there. Remember, none of this is going to be seen, right? So as long as we keep it clean here and across the top, we should be pretty good to go. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Got another cable tie right there. I'm going to take these two cables and trap them in there, even though they're moving two different directions. They intersect right where the cable tie is. How convenient is that? Me likey. That's what I'm talking about. I'm happy with this. Remember, these don't have to be super tight. You're just holding a cable in place, guys. You're not sealing it against air and water. Don't pinch the cable so tight you cut right through it. And you can do it. It is possible. I believe in you. Let's move that one over there. Let's move this over here. You see how it comes together little by little? You see how much better it already looks, and I'm not done yet. Yeah. This little bundle, I can actually just kind of stick it right down in here and get it out of sight, out of mind. Oh, what happened? Oh no, that's right. That's the way it's supposed to go. That's fine. This one has a little bit of slack, but I don't have anywhere to tie it down. So I mean, I could pinch it with a zip tie, but I don't think I'm going to, because I want the customer to be able to move this box forward and back, and if I tighten those cables too tight, too taut, he's not going to be happy if he wants to just move it a little bit. So try to keep that in consideration as well. So I got these tie downs here that I want to continue to run these cables straight down. So let's do that now. See, I'm going to go through a lot of these, and I might put some on wrong. And if I do, I'll just cut them and throw them out and start again. When you do your cable management, don't worry about wasting some nylon zip ties. They're very inexpensive. Something's blocking that. Wonder why. Almost like is that a manufacturing issue, or is it a cable in my way? Oh, it's the radiator, so I gotta use the other side. That's all right, it'll be fine. Once again, you can see I can grab these cables and kind of line them all up before I zip tie them. I think that actually looks better that way, so I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't like the way it looks. Let's do the same thing. I'm only going to use one tie down instead of two. I'm going to grab the cables and just line them up. See that? I've taken 3 cables and I've stacked them on top of each other along with the audio cable. Just keep it aligned. Little by little, it starts coming together. I'm going to redo that one too. I want this audio cable, I don't want it behind, I want it running alongside, and that's where I screwed up here. So that one's coming off. Remember, you're going to waste a few of these. That's part of the process. That's the way I want it. That's it. Much, much better. See what I'm going for? See how that looks? So it's not just the cable ties, it's how you're arranging the cables before you lock them down. See, that one can go there, that's fine. This one wants to go here. There's not much I can do with any cable management with these two other than maybe just put a wire tie right there where they, once again, where they cross over each other, where they intersect. We'll take that down as low as I can get it, just to make it as taut as I can get it. The tighter it is, the less likely it's going to hang loose. Now look at, just in the few minutes it's taken me, look at the vast improvement that has. I'm realizing now this cable could have gone this way. Right, so I'm going to take these wire ties off and do them again. I mean, that's a perfect fit. I just overlooked it when I was doing it. So I'm going to waste some cable ties, so what? That's my process. If you can think it ahead of time, if you can see it, the bigger picture, and you won't waste so many. I'm a visual person. I actually have to see it versus seeing it in my head on stuff like this. But look how much better that already looks. And of course, I haven't done anything with the front yet. And this can be straightened out. And that cable can be, there we go. It's gorgeous. Let's see if I can do something with this. It's bugging me. See, I've unplugged this one to work on it because it's too hard to try and get in there with it plugged in, and you could break something. So just take a minute to unplug the cable in some circumstances. And if you can straighten the cable out so that it folds in on itself, it's going to look a lot better and it's not going to be as wide, so it'll be easier to hide it. Trying to find a way to hide this a little more. So, looks like what I really need to do here is get another zip tie right there, right at the very end. The cable wants to bow out when I bend it into place. So put one right there. And then I want to bend it behind the other cable that's pretty tight, and that should hold it towards the back where it'll be less likely to be seen. So there's a little bit of cable. I mean, there's not much you can do there. It's about the best you can. I can wire tie this one up so the customer doesn't go, hey, something's unplugged. Yeah, it's supposed to be unplugged. A lot of times customers, they see unused cables that's there for, you know, additional hardware or things you don't have on that particular build. They don't realize that. They think something fell off. They think something's wrong. So to avoid that unnecessary support call, take any spare cables, any spare connectors rather, fold them up and zip tie them up against the itself so there's no confusion. There we go. And I think I want to just adjust this cable a little bit. I don't like the way it looks, so I'm going to unplug it and run it behind the other one if I can. So I got to take these back off. I got to take them off anyway. Those out of there. I'm just going to route the 4-pin behind the 8-pin because it just looks a lot better. And then we're going to plug that 4-pin back on, and I'll just be a little more careful this time to make sure it's oriented in the proper direction. There we go. So that's going to look a lot better. And then we'll come around here, and because I cut these ties off, in order to give me the slack I needed to move the cable, I can also route this fan cable right along and keep them all together. Let's get my zip ties over here. And we're going to go through this one. I didn't struggle this hard the first time. There we go. Let me make sure all cables are in there. Started just a little bit there. Now I can fix it up. Let's do this. Let's run that in first, then run the skinny one in next. Then run this one in there. Make sure you pull the cable taut, pull in the slack. And then you can tighten that down a little bit. There we go. Go to the next one, repeat. Go to the last one here. I'm going to take this back off again. can even keep these together if you want. All this extra stuff here can all be bundled together. Still want to leave a little slack, like I said, for the customer to be able to move that little box if need be. So I'll put 2 on this one on this side. And 1 on the other side. Black cables, black cable ties. It's not a coincidence. This can go back on. Yeah, that's on. Still don't like the way that's being fed in, so I think what I want to do is move it so that it's not... Oh, wait a minute, I think we're okay. Any of this excess, you can choose to wire, to zip tie it or not zip tie it. It's really your call. You know, if you want to just kind of zip tie that, you're welcome to. We want to be able to get this back cover back on, and we've just got a little bit of slack to take care of right down here at the bottom. I would like to see this cable tied as well, right up here at the top. Let's get that one. There we go. It's getting there, piece by piece. Piece by piece. I'm looking through the comments right now, if you're wondering what I'm doing. It's my back has been to you for a while. I'm going to take a little break here to talk about something off topic, because even I sometimes just need to walk away from stuff that's tedious like that to reset a little bit. And I just want to follow up with you on something I talked about the other day. A couple of things. finished this book. This is an excellent book by Randy Somm, and it's a very good book. It explains a lot to me from the management side of things. We've all seen and heard about all the corruption. Some of us have dealt with it in real life. And we wonder, how can this be permitted to go on? It's all explained here on what's broken in the American corporate system and how it appears it won't be fixed anytime soon. It's probably going to self-destruct. It's going to implode on itself if it continues rewarding short-term gains with millions of dollars of profit to the boards and to the CEOs and the shareholders. And in the end, the long term of it is that when that CEO is gone, it can take a company 3 to 5 years to feel the effects of decisions that were made 3 to 5 years earlier, specifically in the car industry, where it takes a while to retool a factory. You arrange for the parts and you get the parts installed, and then the customer gets it, and then a couple years down the line, the car breaks down and there's lawsuits, class action lawsuits, and recalls and all kinds of stuff that ends up costing the company a lot of money, and innocent, hardworking people lose their jobs over the decisions of management doing this money grab over short-term gains. And the whole corporate America, the whole way Wall Street works, is it's rewarding short-term gains. Nobody's thinking of the long game anymore. And it's explained why in detail here by somebody was a CEO of a major company and has been on the board of companies and nonprofits, and it even goes into nonprofits and churches, this sort of looking out for number one. It's all about me and anybody else can suffer. To see the management of a church operate with the same management style of a corporation is sad, but at least he's able to break it down into how people talk themselves into making it right, or sometimes they're forced into it. Sometimes it's Wall Street or the shareholders or the board that says, you're going to play ball by our rules, or we're going to replace you with somebody who will. So when you're somebody like this who puts their integrity first, they're the oddball. They're the troublemaker. And that's the state of the times that we live in. So if you're interested in that, it's a good read. If you've never worked in corporate America, you probably won't really appreciate it the way I do. This one is, I've made no secret, I think Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are heroes in my era. They're the Rockefeller and the Carnegie of their time. Elon especially. I'm not going to tell you that, and Steve Jobs too, by the way, but you know, kind of hard to interview him now. There is a book by Walter Isaacson. I haven't read it yet. It's on my list of reads. But this author, Ashley Vance, sat down with Elon like once a month, interviewed 200 employees, schoolmates, family members. Elon wanted no part of this until... Remember what I said about being successful? You've got to have tenacity. And it doesn't mean you just keep hounding somebody. That's being irritating. Ashley Vance said, look, I'm going to write this book about you. I'm going to be interviewing your family and your friends. Would you like to participate? I'd like you to participate. And Elon said, under one condition, that I read the book before you publish it and give you notes for my side of whatever you're saying. And Ashley said, nope, absolutely not. That's not the way it works. Elon's the kind of guy that'll write 30 pages of let me explain my side of the story for one thing. And the author's not having it. The author said, look, I'm going to take what you say into consideration. It's my job to do that. And I'm writing the book with or without you, and I'm offering you an opportunity to have a voice in it. And Elon said, get it, you just go away. I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to do what I can to discourage you from writing this book. The guy said, okay. And then the guy went forward with interviewing everybody as scheduled, interviewed his stepdad, his mother, his father, workers that have worked with him in the past, people he went to school with. And I guess it was getting back to Elon. And Elon said, if you're going to be doing this book and talking to all these people I know, I do want to have a say in it, and I will accept your terms. And this is what I like about this. It's not somebody writing an unofficial autobiography. Autobiography? It'd be a biography about Elon. He's getting an opportunity to speak his mind, and the author is acting as an impartial person to take what Elon's saying and take what other people are saying. And it's a thick book. There's plenty of books on Elon Musk that are written by people that are completely baseless, right? They're just taking news clippings and things and assembling it into a book. This is actual interviews with family, friends, coworkers, schoolmates, roommates that reflect their experience, and then of course Elon's own experience. And I'm absolutely fascinated by it at this point. The man is absolutely just, he's a special person. He's a very special person. And I don't know yet. I've only just started, but I'm recommending it if you're interested. This guy has changed the face of 3 companies at the same time. Solar power with his company in solar power. Electric cars completely smacked the auto industry up on its head. And then, of course, rockets, being able to land a rocket. He firmly believes that there are Russians that would like to see him dead because he is interfering with their money making on launching rockets. He can do it a lot cheaper by landing the rockets and reusing them. It's the most expensive part of rocket launches. And by him doing that as successfully as he has been, competition doesn't like that and would like him gone. But of course, he's not the one building the rockets. So, if something were to happen to him, his company would continue to perform. It's owned primarily by shareholders, and he's replaceable. But, he's very much a Steve Jobs kind of guy in many ways. I can relate to him more than I can relate to Steve Jobs. He's just a little off in a way that I think I am. And so far, so good. I'm really enjoying it. And then one other thing I'm reading, if you guys are interested, just to take me off the serious path for a little while. My sister actually introduced me to this guy. He was on BuzzFeed for a while, and his name is Matt Bellassai. Matt Bellassai. And his book is Everything is Awful, and he's hilarious. You can click on, just Google search do a search here on YouTube to see his videos. They're hilarious. The dude is funny. He basically takes a big glass of wine and drinks it, and he says, okay, I'm buzzed, now here's the truth. And then he just goes off on whatever it is. And it's funny if that's your kind of humor. I think it's hilarious. So I bought his book just to support him, and I'm interested if it shows a little more personal side to him than the very edited YouTube videos that he does. But it is very, very funny. Did I see the interview with Elon and Joe Rogan? I've watched about 45 minutes of it so far. I think one of the inspirations that I have on this book about Elon Musk is his work ethic. And when I talk about work ethic, I'm not talking about somebody who who works 9 to 5 and is a solid worker 9 to 5. Elon works almost 24/7. And there's a part in this book that I want to share with you, primarily because what I do with my little reader glasses, what I do with them. You know what? I just use these. There's a part in this book I want you to really listen to, because it really resonates with me here on YouTube and the amount of hours I put in for what little money I make in return. I haven't read that far, so Elon was bullied to the point where he was beaten, where he had to have a nose job. He had to have plastic surgery. They beat him so bad in high school because he was different. They were threatened. They didn't. The other kids, they threw him downstairs and pounded his head against the pavement and kicked him while he was down and just kept beating on him. And his brother came in, thankfully, and broke that up before they killed him. He would have died. Solar City was the name of the company I was thinking of.
So let's talk about this. A typical week starts at his mansion in Bel Air. Or you go, ooh, he's got a mansion in Bel Air. Think about the rest of what's about to be said. On Mondays, he works the entire day at SpaceX. On Tuesday, he begins at SpaceX, then hops onto a jet and flies to Silicon Valley. So from Los Angeles to San Francisco, it's actually north of San Francisco. That's a long way, so he's got to fly there. He'll spend a couple of days working at Tesla, which has its offices in Palo Alto, and it has a factory in Fremont. He does not own a home in Northern California, so he ends up staying at the Lux Rosewood Hotel or at friends' houses. To arrange the stays with friends, Musk's assistant will send an email simply stating, "Room for one?" And if the friend says yes, Musk turns up at the door late at night. Most often he stays in a guest room, but he's also been known to crash on the couch after winding down with some video games. Then it's back to Los Angeles, back on the jet, back to Los Angeles, and on SpaceX on Thursday. He shares custody of his 5 young boys. He's got twins and triplets with his ex-wife Justine, and he has them 4 days out of the week. Each year, Musk tabulates the amount of flight time he endures per week to help him get a sense of just how out of hand things are getting. When he is asked how he survives the schedule, he says, "I had a tough childhood, and so maybe this is helpful." They have an outline here of how much flying he does to get from one place to the next to handle all these companies simultaneously. And on top of that, he found 2.5 hours to spend with Joe Rogan in an interview. Where does he find the time? Most people barely have enough time to run one company. He's primarily running 2 companies. The third company, Solar City, is mostly run, I think, by his brother or his cousins. I can't remember. But it's still in his wheelhouse to be responsible for. So the amount of time he has to divide between SpaceX and Tesla when they're not even right next door to each other, they're several hundred miles away, plus have some time to spend with his kids, plus do the interviews and all the PR stuff that he does, and the shareholder meetings, and the board of directors, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, he's worth billions of dollars, but he's not a Kardashian. It's not something he was born into. He is busting his butt nonstop. And he's got the money to show for the work. If you want to put in an 8-hour day, don't complain you're not getting ahead. This is America. Be willing to put in 16-hour days, 7 days a week. You will be a success. A lot of people are simply not willing to make the sacrifice. And I'm not saying it's the only way to do this. I'm not saying it's the only way is to put in long, long days. But I am saying your chances are greater by working harder. You will make more money. The more I make YouTube videos, the more subscribers I get, the more viewers I get. My average watching now went from 300 to 500 and 600. The only time I ever broke 1,000 is when my pretty young niece came online, joined me to build a computer. I don't think that's right. But on the other hand, I did a computer build live with no pretty young girls, and I had 1,000 viewers. So it's growing. And the more time I spend making videos, the more it's giving me back with regards to views, subscribers, and ultimately money. So if I want to make YouTube my primary source of income, I need to start making a lot more videos a lot more often. And no matter what you do, if you're self-employed, if you want to have a lot of extra money, you need to spend a lot of extra time back into that business. And then hopefully figure out a way to stop that train, because they're hard to stop trains. They're hard to get moving and they're hard to stop, so that you can enjoy some of your money. That mansion that started off with that first sentence, when did I mention it again? He's barely there. He's working. And he says running a car company, keeping it alive day after day, is the toughest job he's ever done. I find this to be my inspiration. He's a regular guy, and look at what he's done. From founding PayPal, one of the original founders of PayPal, along with Peter Thiel and those guys. He could have retired, bought an island, and just never heard from him again. Selfish, narcissistic, me, me, me. By selling the cars the way he does, he doesn't use dealerships, because what dealerships do is they will get you on all the maintenance on the car. Electric cars don't really need any maintenance. So you got to get your money up front, and dealerships don't really offer any value to you. You should have no reason to have to go back to a dealer. It's electric. What needs to be fixed? That's not to say they never need to be fixed, but nowhere near the repairs of a mechanical automobile, an internal combustion engine. And there's so much to go wrong, and oil changes and you're still going to have brake fluid in an electric car, but just the ongoing maintenance of a gasoline-powered or diesel-powered engine is a way dealers make a lot of money after the sale of a car. So if you think a Tesla is expensive, you're right, it is expensive, but think about how much you spend in maintenance on the car you have now for oil changes and things that break and need repaired. When you're under warranty, that's all well and good, but when you're out of warranty, it gets really expensive. And the more expensive the car is, the more expensive the maintenance and repair are. You know, I can buy a used Maserati very inexpensively, probably for 20% of what it costs new, but the cost to repair it still doesn't make it affordable, or the cost to insure it. You get yourself an electric vehicle, like a Tesla, all that maintenance goes away. So while you paid more upfront for the car, you're spending less time and money in repairs and maintenance, and therefore you don't need to have a dealership. And there are some dealer organizations, dealer lobbies, that are trying to make that illegal. I guess they're afraid they're going to go out of work. They're trying to force Elon to have to sell through dealerships. And that's a big problem in America. This entitlement needs to go away. And so far he's winning, and I'm rooting for him. And I hope you are too. But to each his own. Anyway, that's what I'm currently reading. And I think sometimes we're so hung up on being connected, it's a good idea to get yourself away, go find a log cabin somewhere, bring a book, have your phone, because it's important to stay in communication. Everybody knows you're okay. But disconnect once in a while. Take a few days and just disconnect. And I think this is going to be a bigger problem for the next generation. Not only for the current generation, where it already is a problem. Find a way to disconnect for a few days, a couple times a year, at least twice a year, in my opinion. Take a week. Go away from the technology, as far away from it as you can. Pick up a book. Pick up some board games with your children or your friends. Roast some marshmallows over a fire. Make some s'mores. Canoe, go fishing. Find your center again. People don't even realize how off-center they've become with their addiction to technology. And the longer you put it off, the harder it is. It's like any other addiction. And so I will cover that more in the Life 101 series that I'm working on. But I think in the future, we're going to see businesses that operate solely on taking people out of the technological environment and giving them something to do. Because even if they do it on their own, they'll be bored. So there'll be groups, there'll be companies that say, this is a camp for adults, and you can come here and camp, and we'll have activities for you to do to keep you busy and occupied so you're not bored. That takes you back to nature and takes you back to living real life versus virtual life. And I do believe it is a problem that's going to get worse before it gets better. And I make it a point, as often as I possibly can afford, to get away from the technology. You know, my highlight to my trip to Michigan in the spring was kayaking the Au Sable River. And I knew it was going to be the highlight. I was so looking forward to it, and it didn't let me down. And I can't wait to do it again. It's just nothing on the internet compares to that. Let's see, a contribution has come in. What do we have here? JHP, I keep putting those letters backwards. JHP Hawaii's contributed $5. He says, keep up the good videos. You got me back into new hardware. Thanks for all the tips. Thanks for your continued support, JHP Hawaii Photo. I really do appreciate it. JPH Hawaii says, I disconnect by doing photography. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
I mean, ideally, you're doing nature photography. You're going out into some of the beautiful wilderness and woods. We have some beautiful state parks here throughout America, including in Hawaii, and they're just something that cannot be conveyed in photos, but to go there and take photos, or bird watching. You don't really meet too many bird watchers anymore, looking up what species of bird it is. And you'd be surprised, there's some pretty rare creatures that you encounter, and you'd have no idea just how lucky you were to see one, because you don't know. What are my thoughts on Dave Ramsey? Look, when you have people talking about money, saving money, investing money, I don't know enough about it. I live paycheck to paycheck like most Americans. But I will say I don't have any problem with anything I've heard him say. Same with Susie Orman. I think they both offer sound advice. It sounds good to me. And if I had more money, I would probably look for a way to invest it, and I would listen to what Dave Ramsey has to say. But that's me, and I'm no expert on money and finances. Believe me. Do I still have case badges available? Yes, case badges I intend to keep available. They are available, and there's lots of them. So if you'd like to get a case badge, any contribution of $20 or more, and this is the catch, submitted through tech-vets.com using the donate button, that's how you get one. Don't do it through Super Chat, please. Carrie, please explain to a dumb Brit what Texas toast is. So the other day I was talking about Cane's, Raising Cane's chicken fingers and how you get Texas toast. Texas toast. So the thing about America, the expression in Texas is everything is bigger. The joke is a guy fell into a swimming pool in Texas and he yelled, "Please don't flush it." Everything is bigger in Texas. That's the expression, because Texas is big. Texas is the biggest state in the United States if you don't count Alaska. Don't talk about Alaska to a Texan. So Texans are very proud of their state. I've never seen any people of the United States so proud of where they live. There's neon signs in the shape of Texas. Texas and proud. Proud to be Texas. The band ZZ Top sings all about being Texan. They have these big beards. Proud to be Texan. If you watch the show Fast and Loud, one of the people on the show, Aaron Kaufman's got that big ZZ Top beard. It's a very Texas thing. So all Texas toast is it's a thick slice of bread. It's about 3 times the size of a normal slice of bread. That is Texas toast. That's all it is. It's just a way of saying thick bread, thick slice. It's like that thick, one piece of bread. It's as if you were cutting a loaf of bread, and instead of making regular slices, you made slices 3 times thicker. That's all it is. Thank you for asking that. Sometimes I forget I have a worldwide audience that doesn't understand all of the American culture. What is SMT? SMT is surface mount technology. Back in the day, the way we used to put components into a circuit board, if you take any component like a capacitor, it's got 2 metal legs that come down, and you push the metal legs through holes in the circuit board, you solder them in place, and then you cut the extra, the legs that are sticking out, you cut those off so that's all flush with the circuit board, or it's little pointy ends on the bottom of the circuit board. Today, surface mount technology allows, mostly automation, for the component to not have any little legs, or they're very stubby, short little legs, and they rest on top of the circuit board and get soldered down. It's proven to be much faster, more reliable, more consistent in quality control and manufacturing, more efficient. And I demonstrate that. I don't demonstrate it. Brian Cometa of $300 Data Recovery actually removes a very small chip that is surface mounted off of a circuit board using a hot air iron, which I've never witnessed before, because this is after my time of working the component level electronics. But surface mount technology is fantastic, and it's a manufacturing evolution, which I say it's more efficient, it's cheaper, and the quality control is more consistent.
Ismael Martinez says, I am Latino and it's great to watch your videos. It helps me lots. You know, I wish, and I'm sure it'll happen in my lifetime, I would like to see more quote unquote minorities getting involved in technology. We don't see a lot of Latinos. We don't see a lot of other minorities outside of Asian, right? In the Asian culture, technology is much more widely adopted among the culture. In America, it's mostly, and actually in all cultures, it's mostly male dominated. So not only do I like to see more, just for an example, Latinos, but I'd also like to see more female. Chances are you're a male Latino and not a female Latino. Why is it that it's such a male dominated industry? I don't understand why. At no point of anything I've done does having a penis affect my ability to do the job. So I am profoundly confused over why we don't see more females in the industry. So, you know, your hat trick, if you will be a female minority of a minority religion, let's say. That would be the hat trick, right? That's the unicorn. They're out there, but I would like to see a lot more of them. I'll die happy when it's a more 50-50 and less and less lopsided the way it is now. But it's not just lopsided on the female side, it's lopsided even on the minority side with regard to race. And I don't know why. There's just, I can't see any reason. I think it's just culture. Culture needs to change. Ismail says, I try to teach my sister and she just doesn't get it. She don't get it. Well, I mean, look, people are interested in what people are interested in. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense. But I don't understand why it's so lopsided in general. I just don't get that part of it. And I do hope it'll change. It's not like females don't use computers. It's not like Latinos don't use computers. If you're going to use it, wouldn't you feel better having control of it? Because a lot of people that use the computers, most people feel like they have no control over it. And that's what I'm out to fix. I want to show people you can have control of it if you want to. You don't need any special talent. You just have to pay attention and learn. I just can't. The part of this I can't crack is I can't make you interested. I can't motivate you to be interested. But if you are, regardless of your race, your gender, or your financial status, or your religion, I can show you. You can do it. Absolutely. Everybody can do it. Again, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. And I would like to see that attitude change where people want to learn it, just for their own self-reliance. But, all right, enough little sidetrack there. Tommy Ellis says, I'm female, but I like software more, I think. Well, look, it's all good. It's all good. Any females and minorities in tech, regardless of what the tech is a wonderful thing, and we need more to balance this out. We really do. There's absolutely no reason that I can think of, no good reason, no logical reason why it should be male dominated. I can't come up with any good logical reason why that is, other than it's cultural. A lot of culture just doesn't make sense. Hippolyte09 says, I want to build a computer for and with my girlfriend, but she doesn't care. You can't make somebody care. What size zip ties? I announced it when I was doing it. The little zip ties are 4-inch zip ties and the big ones are 8-inch zip ties. Carrie, when I was in high school in 2004, we used your book in computer class. The book was new in 2004, and many schools did use the book. That's very flattering to me. I don't know if you could see through my shirt, but when you said that, my heart kind of got a little bigger. I don't know, unless people tell me, if my book was used in schools or universities. I suppose it's possible. It was used in a lot more schools and universities than I'm aware of. It's the best I can hope for. I had a handful of teachers reach out to me and ask me for permission, but no permission was required or necessary, and I think most teachers know that. So I can't help but wonder how far that book went in education, in academic education, without my knowledge. Not just in America. Remember, that was printed in Russian by a printing company in Moscow, and it was printed in Arabic by a company, I believe, in Dubai. And it could have been used in education there. I don't know. I mean, academic education. I have no clue. Because I'm not self-published, the publisher I dealt with was McGraw-Hill, and they're a very well-respected educational publisher with a long history in academia. So those deals happen without the author's knowledge on a regular basis. Brian Irwin says, I sent you $10 through PayPal. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that. Charles said, my wife used to work in tech beside me. Cool. 36 Bounce says, my wife and I built 2 computers and we're looking forward to build number 3. You know, it's awesome when you can share something, whether it's with your loved one, your romantic loved one, or whether it's your children, or family member, or even a friend. It's a bonding experience that words and the internet just can't replicate. It's just nothing like it. All right, I think I can get back to work. My little diversion, my brain's reset a little bit now. I can get back to thinking about what I want to do here. These cables, you know, I can keep these together. I can wire tie them. I don't need to put many, maybe 3 right across the bottom. Remember, nobody's going to see this. All I'm thinking about when I'm doing this is ease of working on the system. Since I don't know what's going to need to be worked on, I don't want to tie a bunch of wires that are unrelated together, because that means that'll have to be all undone and make a job harder. I want to make the job, I want to make the job easier. That's the goal. And we want to make it look pretty, or prettier. When you cut these pigtails, try to make them as flush as possible, because if you get an edge out there and you put your hand in, these will cut you. So try and get them smooth so that when you or somebody else reaches their hand in, you don't get cut or deeply scraped. Either way, it's not pleasant. I think I could put one more on here. And be careful, don't cut through your wire. That would not be good. I don't like this one at all. This one's got to run. Let me disconnect it. Oops. Take that off for a minute because I need to put my hand here. I want to run this a different way. Well, I guess it was okay the way it was. I guess I did that for nothing. That sometimes happens too. Need a big wire tie for that one. These are the 8-inch wire ties I use over here. I think my holder's about had it. It's all broken and cracked. It's yellowing. This was a big variety box of different colors and sizes that I got at Home Depot, I think, or Harbor Freight Tools. And I just keep refilling it when I buy the plastic bags of 8-inch ties. I just empty it into this container. But I've had this for years, and I think the plastic is just deteriorating over age. Well, I don't think it is. It definitely is. I may just buy another kit like that. There was 650 cable ties in here. And I've used them all, and I just keep refilling that one. And this one had 500 in this one. These were 7-inch ones, 4-inch and 7-inch. And that's close enough. That would exactly be what I use on computers. But I'll go through 200 of these on, 6 builds, maybe. Doesn't take long to go through a bunch of those. You see how many I waste just through experimentation, but they're cheap. I can pick them up cheap also on, I think there's a couple websites you can pick them up cheap, but I get them cheap at Harbor Freight Tools here in the United States. I think I want to put another one right there. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's it. I could tie these together, but I think I'm just going to leave it. This I can straighten out. This I can put back on. I probably should have just taken it off and left it off until I was done, just to prevent the hassle of having it get in my way, since when you're not done, you never know if it's going to be in your way again. Yep. That looks good. And these can go back in. All these cut pigtails could go into the trash. I don't know if anybody counted how many I used. I definitely used more on this build because of the RGB stuff. I gotta find the panels. Ooh, got a lot of dust on them. Have to clean that off. So the panels, I got a big panel and got a glass panel. You see how small the glass panel is? It's really dusty though. It's been sitting in my office. This panel captures the screws, which I like. And this is the part that's going to go on the back. It's going to cover all this cabling up. I'm looking on the panel to see where it's going to hold on to things. Notice there's a big filter right here. Does that filter come out? Sometimes they're magnetic and sometimes they clip in. I don't see any way to grab it. I didn't even realize that was a filter there. That's pretty cool though. I just don't know how it comes out. Maybe you're not supposed to take it out. It's held in there pretty good. I suspect it's being held in with magnetism. Well, I don't care, it doesn't matter. So there's little holes here, and it's gonna go into these slots here in the front. I should be able to just slide that right in there. So we're gonna push this in as far as it'll go. Because I want those tabs to slide into the slots in the front, which I've never seen on a case before. It's the first time. So it actually looks like you want to put the tabs into a slot and then slide it forward. That holds that in. And then just push on this. And tighten the thumb screws down. Yeah? Now I need to clean this glass before I put it back on. Like I said, it's been hanging out in my office, and I live in Arizona where it's very dusty. And it looks like the dogs wanted to leave a little something behind. Every computer build gets a little free dog hair. It's just a little added bonus from me. I do blow it out, make sure that it's clean. But sometimes on the packaging, like the styrofoam and the plastic, you know, when a customer gets it, there may be a little piece of dog hair there or there. What are you gonna do? There is plastic, by the way, on this glass that I've left. So I don't need to worry about cleaning the outside, I just need to clean the inside. And so to do that, the best thing for you to do is to use a cloth, like a microfiber cloth, so we don't scratch up the glass. And I've got some in here somewhere. Let's see. Here we go. You can get these cheap on Amazon all day long. You really don't even need to use, I've got Windex, but you can use just water, honestly. Especially if you're cleaning an LCD screen, don't use any window cleaner on an LCD screen. Always use, you could take a corner of this and run it under the sink and then dry it with the other corner. You don't have to make the whole thing wet, is what I'm saying. So you don't spray what you're cleaning, you spray the rag you're cleaning with. And I want to move away from that tag. Let's go to this side. And we'll just get this nice wipe down here. Sometimes hard to tell which side of the glass is dirty. And even though there's plastic on this side that all this dust is on, we can still wipe it down, make it look a little more pleasant. Still using the Windex that's soaked in there on the other side. Honestly, if this was my computer, I would just peel the plastic off. I wouldn't clean it, but because it's going to a customer, I don't want them thinking that they're getting a dirty computer or something. Looks like the plastic's got a little tear in there. Not much I can do about that. It's pretty good. I still see a little something down here. Like I say, it can be hard to tell which side the dirt is on. Not the best cleaning guy that ever existed. My wife will certainly testify to that. We've got a couple little notches right up here on this panel, if you can see, and they're going to go into these holes right here. You see how that glass panel, it only goes on 3/4 of the way there. That's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. One thumb screw, just one thumb screw. Not two, just one. I really should have powered this on before I put that on, just to make sure I didn't knock any cables loose. Because if I did, I'll be taking this right back off again. Let me check it now. Now that I've already done, and then I'll show you, this is all just, this is all going to clean up. Didn't I say it was going to clean up? Didn't I? You know what I told you? Looks like I got some fingerprints up here though, don't I? It's funny, I can see it on camera better than I can see it in real life. You guys want to count boot up time? Here we go. Oh, I probably have to plug the monitor in. That probably will help. Remote control will go in the motherboard box. The extra cable for the RGB lighting on the cooler. I'm going to keep all that with the spare parts for the cooler. Ismail says, I'm new here. Well, Ismail, welcome. Everybody's welcome. I hope you'll be a regular. I really do. Piano Instrumental says, that is such a sexy build. Oh my God, my eyes. You're such a nerd. I'm sorry, Piano Instrumentalist, but somebody had to say it. You are a nerd, but you have very good taste. Okay, spare cables for the power supply. All the modular cables are in there. The original heatsink, that'll get packaged up separately. My cable ties can go be put back. We're done. I don't even know why I put a lid on that. I have knocked these off the counter so many times they've spilled out, so I try to keep the cap on it. At least if I knock it over, I'm not picking up a bunch of cable ties. All right, Louisiana, your computer's done. I bet Louisiana's going to be happy. I'm going to call him Louisiana Martin. Martin, thank you for your business. Thank you for being kind enough to wait for your build as I took time to film it. I thought I was going to get it done in one day 2 weeks ago when I started it, and I did get all the hardware installed. I just didn't have time to, do the heat test, and I had the issue with, I had sold him Windows Pro. I sold him Home, and I didn't have any. All I had was Pro, and then I had to talk to him about that, make sure he was going to be okay with that. I don't know why he wouldn't be, but You can't make assumptions with the customer. Remember, setting expectations and meeting or exceeding those expectations. So it didn't cost Martin any more money. I charged him the same price because it was my mistake, not his. And you still have some smudging going on with this glass. It's got to be, is it on the plastic? I think it's on the plastic. I'm not doing it. I'm going to leave that for Martin to do. But we just want to, I want you to know that there's plastic there and I can't get it completely clean. Kind of looks like the glass is cracked. It's just plastic, ladies and gentlemen. It's just plastic. And if I peel that plastic off, it's going to be gorgeous. It really is. Give us a spin, baby. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Come on, let's see the backside. Oh. It sounds dirty. Now who's the nerd? Oh, what a day. Definitely not an office PC. Well, it depends if you work for Steam or Origin, or is Origin even around? Electronic Arts? Anybody? Am I dating myself? Piano Instrumentalist has contributed $10. It says, Nerd Power for the win. Love the entertainment. Thank you, Piano Instrumentalist. I'm just going to call you pianist. That's the NZXT H500 case. That little box has already moved a little bit. I wonder if that's going to be okay in shipping. I'm starting to have some doubts on that now that I think about it. I think the cables, you know what? Let me just check it. I just had this thought. If I'm going to need to tie that down or if it's potentially going to cause any damage. How much can it move? You know, it could get caught up in the fan. I'm a little uneasy about that. If this was a local customer, I wouldn't worry about it, but this has got to be shipped. And I am a little concerned that the magnets aren't quite strong enough. I could put a nylon zip tie through there just to lock it down, and the customer can always remove it. I'm just thinking if this breaks free in shipping, how far? What's it going to hit? It could hit the fans on the bottom of the graphics card. And it can hit the PCI slots. And there's an M.2 heat shield. That's not going to hurt anything. What do I want to do? You know what I'm going to do? I got a better idea. Just for shipping purposes, painter's tape or masking tape, something that's not going to leave any sticky residue, should be enough to lock it into place. I don't think I have any double-sided sticky tape, and I don't want to leave residue because the customer might want to move it. But when you use painter's tape or masking tape, it's very easily, removed. We use this a lot in film production. So I think what I'm going to do, yeah, well, I screwed that up. Let me do it again. Spot weld it. That'll do it. Where's my duct tape? They fixed a hole in the space station. It looks like somebody drilled a hole inside of the space station. Why an astronaut that had to go through the training would drill a hole to espionage their own space station seems pretty bizarre. NASA's investigating it, but in the meantime, the fix, and I'm not making any of this up, the fix was to take a piece of duct tape and cover the hole. NASA had noticed that the air pressure in the space station, the International Space Station, was losing pressure slowly but regularly. And they found a little hole, and they thought maybe just like a little meteorite or some space junk hit it, but it looks to be drilled. It looks like somebody drilled a hole from inside of the space station. And there's only 6 people on the space station, so who did it? But the point is, they fixed it with duct tape. How much is that space station again? Anybody remind me how much that cost? How technological it is? What an achievement of technology. Fixed with duct tape. All I'm trying to do is add a little more support to that tape so it won't pull up so easily. No, you wouldn't want to put this in the SSD slot because the remote is infrared, so the remote has to be able to see it, or you're not going to be able to use the remote. And again, the customer can obviously make any modifications that they want to make. It's their computer. It still feels really loose to me. The good thing about masking tape is when the customer peels this off, it won't take any paint with it, and it won't leave any residue. It won't leave any sticky residue behind, unless he leaves it on there for like 6 months, but I don't think he's going to do that. That's a lot better. It ain't going nowhere. Yeah, customer can remove it. I'm glad I thought of that. It's a different style of case I've never used before. So, well, it has nothing to do with the case. It has to do with the liquid cooler. Also something I've never used before. And I haven't loaded any of the RGB software, so I'm assuming I've hooked the RGB cable up correctly to the box. I assume I would have to install the software and configure it for that. I think most customers who order computers from me understand how to use the computer, so I'll leave that to the customer. I'm not a big fan of the RGB stuff. I respect that, if people want it. Winston Anglus contributed $2 Canadian. He says, "C'est belle." It's beautiful. Thank you. So all the parts list for this machine are in the original build that details every single part but the liquid cooler, because I didn't know when I built it I was going to have a heat issue when it was maxed out. Franklin says, that's ugly, but it's just for shipping, Franklin. I think if you look at a way things are shipped, styrofoam's not necessarily pretty either, but I'm still going to use it. Tim says, why do people click on a video just to dislike it? I don't know, but we should thank them, because by clicking on the video, I got paid the same. All they had to do was click on it. If you want to punish a YouTube creator, that's not how to do it. I mean, you're punishing me by giving me some money. Punish me more, please. Did Gambius say they didn't want it back? I asked Gambius, Gamdius, I asked them, and they didn't answer my question. They just said, hey, great video, we love it. I'm going to take that as we don't want it back. Oh, did we go to sleep? Yep, we just fell asleep there. All right, let's reboot it and see how long it takes. Let's shut it down. First of all, we'll shut it all the way down. All right, here we go. Let's see how long it takes to boot up. Trying to adjust it without so much reflection off the glass. There it is. I don't know. I mean, if you were Martin, if you were the guy who dropped the cash on this and waited 3 weeks for me to build it, would you be happy? I think I'd be happy. Paul Newman says, I love the t-shirt, Carrie. Thanks, Paul. Christian says it took 8 seconds. Now you're making me want one. We're up and running. That's all there is to it. Shut it back down. Pull my wireless dongle. We'll put that back inside the mouse. I think it goes in the mouse. Yeah, it goes right in there. Flip the switch off, saving the batteries. The customer's power cable's already in the box. This is my power cable, so that I would put away. That's my HDMI cable. And then the antenna is, I can't ship it with the antenna on it because that'll break. So this will go back in the motherboard box. And then the antenna lays flat to prevent any damage. Paul Baxter's contributed £1. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for your contribution. Masking tape can get put away. Yeah, masking tape's pretty good for a few weeks, but after a long period of time, it gets really nasty and gross. So that's old. That's got to be several years old. It's probably not even sticky anymore. That can go in the trash. Okay. The reason I didn't zip tie that little box is I would have to pull the power supply out to get through it, and it's not really intended to be secured that way. The magnets are really all that it comes with to secure that little box. And I feel like that's going to be the safest way to, it's not going that far. I mean, Arizona to Louisiana's, I don't know, 1,300, 1,500 miles. It's about half the distance of the going from coast to coast. If it was going to the opposite coast, I'd be more concerned. It should only have 3 days of shipping. So if it can survive 3 days of shipping, and I think it will, going to the other coast, it'd need 5 to 6 days in shipping. So double the opportunity for damage at that distance. Okay, that's going to wrap up today's stream because I have to get this boxed and over to Federal Express before they close so I can get this out today. Dogs have some excitement. Terry says he would have stuck with the stock cooler. Well, that's the beauty of it. The liquid cooler cost nothing for the end user, and they're getting their stock cooler. So if they want to change it out, it's pretty easy. Undoing the cable management is really super easy, and taking it off is super easy, and putting the new cooler on is super easy, or the old cooler rather. And I did ask the customer what the customer wanted, and this is what the customer wanted. And when you're my customer, we'll do it the way you want it. How's that for a deal? Paul says, great stream, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you, Paul. Shaggy says, I live in Daytona Beach. Would you be able to build one for me? The PC builders here rip people off all the time. Yes, I ship to Florida. No big deal. Cookie time? No, it's not cookie time. Dogs have an hour. John says, buy from Florida, feed those dogs. Hour away from dinner time for the dogs. Thank you. Patrick says, thanks again for another great stream. Thank you. Anthony says, loved your stream. Thank you. Christian says, thank you. Ismael Martinez says, you're the man, bro. The man, bro? I'm the man, bro. I want to remind everybody, if you're reaching out to me for business inquiries, what's a business inquiry? Let's define that. A business inquiry, it means that you're intending to give me some money in exchange for me doing something for you. If what you're looking for is something for free, there is a free technical support site for you to go to called TechGui, TechGui.org. If anything involves sponsorship, building, repairing, upgrading a PC, that's why I'm here. Please do reach out to me. If you click on the About page here on YouTube, you'll see there's an email address you can reach me. Or you can go to tech-vets.com and you'll see to the right below the donate button. I think it's below the donate button. You'll see my name. That's when you click on it, that's how you can send me an email. And that's how it all starts. You'll also, if you donate anything using the donate button at tech-vets.com, I always respond with a thank you. I can't do that in Super Chat because you guys stay anonymous. I get no record or history of the transaction after it's done. And I can't refund it. There's no way for me. So by going through the donate button on TechVets, I have a record of the transaction. I can refund it. And when I respond and say thank you, you have my personal email address, which is different from the email address that I'm giving out publicly. That's how I know who's who, right? So emails that come into my personal email address are treated differently because presumably the only way you got that was by giving me something. So I want to make sure I take care of you and take the time to answer whatever questions you have. The other email address would be for starting a business inquiry. A lot of people abuse it, especially on Facebook. People friend me for the sole purpose of they've got a problem they need fixed. They've given me nothing. They don't know me. I don't know them, but they want to know how to fix their computer problem and can I help them? And I don't have time. I'm sorry. I just don't have time. I'm inundated with that constantly. I will soon hit a limit I'm nearing 5,000 friends on Facebook, and when I hit that, I won't be able to add any more friends, and that'll put that to rest, I think. But in the meantime, it's just another part that I have to deal with between the YouTube comments, the Facebook stuff, the email that comes from different sources, making the videos, doing the thumbnails, doing the video description, creating the links, and of course, at the end of the day, helping my customers. It keeps me pretty busy. So it's not that I'm being a jerk, I'm just busy. Maybe I'm a busy jerk. No, I just don't, there's just not enough time. Do I still do the Tech Vets podcast? Yes. It is not, we don't make any money, Mike and I. We do it for the sole enjoyment of doing it. Both Mike and I have become busier. Mike and I we had a Tech Vet scheduled, and then he broke his foot. And when he broke his foot, we haven't talked since. I haven't heard a peep out of him. In fact, I sent him some money. I didn't even get so much as a thank you or I got it. Nothing. I've heard nothing. I presume he's not mad at me. I didn't do anything. I think he's just really that busy. He just doesn't have time. So then Mike gets freed up, and then I get busy. So it's not all on Mike. We find a couple of times a year we're able to get the Tech Vet stuff done now. So it's not weekly and it's not monthly. It's sort of biannually at this point. But it's not pod faded. We're good friends. We're very busy in our business because we're successful in our business. And we like to share that. We like to share our recipes. We like to share our experiences in the hopes that it betters the community. And we don't have any plans of ever stopping that. So just because it doesn't come out, Tim's computer repair says, you're a jerk. Takes one to know one, Tim. Jesse says, thanks for another great live stream. Much appreciated. Mike's foot isn't healing right. A lot of pain. Oh, I hate to hear that. You know, your body doesn't heal as well when you're older. It doesn't heal as fast. It takes more time. And Mike's the kind of guy, you know, his work comes first. He's probably doing, if I know Mike, he's probably walking on that foot when he's not supposed to be. And he's probably not getting enough bed rest and keeping that foot off the ground because he's got to take care of his customers. Life's a lot easier when you're younger and your body heals faster and you don't have all the responsibilities of adulting. So hopefully he'll get through this okay and get through it quickly. Ron says to tell Jimmy and Lyle I said hello. I'll tell them, but I don't think they'll understand. Want to buckle my shoes? It's fantastic. As always, look forward to the interactive video. It's absolutely fantastic. Word of warning, you'll have other YouTube users stealing it. I'll take that as flattery. Mitch and I are scheduled to begin filming again on Monday. I cannot go live when Mitch and I are filming. It's like a movie set. We do action and cut, and it's a whole different process from live. And by the time we're done, we're exhausted. I've got a lot of work that I have got to get done with editing to understand. Part of the reason I've delayed Mitch wasn't just to get computers done, but I'm not even sure I think I know what we filmed. I think it all pieces together, but until I actually piece it together, Mitch will have to just sit here and wait for me to do it if I don't get it done before he gets here. I don't want to do that to him. So I have to figure out where we're at and how we move forward. There's a lot going on. Can you give them a hug? Oh, I always give the dogs a hug. They always get hugged. They're like, ugh, you're smothering me. And I'm like, too bad. Lurchicus says, I friended you on Facebook with my in real life name, and I didn't ask for anything. Thank you. Thank you. Get an editor. I've been looking for an editor. I've been looking. I haven't found one. I've found some people who've edited, but they're just not up to where I need them to be. But yeah, if I can get an editor, heck, if an editor could sit through some of these 3-hour videos and cut out just little bits and make little 3-minute video and title them and thumbnail them, I probably have 100 videos, 100 3-minute videos out of these live streams. But the amount of time it takes to go through, rewatch them and cut those bits out, like the Gambius install, that liquid cooler, that could be made into its own strictly a Gambius install and review, but it has to be taken out and then it's got to be cut down. All my struggling with the install, all that goes out. And you could turn it into like a 10-minute video to just go, here's the before temps with the stock cooler, here's the after temps with the Gambius, here's what it looks like, 10 minutes in and out, and it would probably get a lot of views. But if I'm spending time doing that, I'm not making any new content, and that's my dilemma. And YouTube pays so little, there's no money to pay an editor, honestly. Somebody's got to do it out of the passion. If somebody was willing to invest their sweat equity into doing that and the channel grew, then I would be able to pay them, but they would have to work for free for a while, with no guarantee they would ever get paid. Because if the channel doesn't grow and if YouTube revenues don't increase, there's nothing to give. So yeah, find an editor is very easy to say. Anybody can say that. It's not like the thought never occurred to me. I mean, you can give me a little credit. I'm not that stupid. Siegfried says, come to Oktoberfest. Yeah, I'm not much of a beer drinker. I would like the atmosphere, I'm sure. Michael C. says, I have you on Facebook as well. I liked some of your posts. Thank you, Michael. Loki says, if I lived in the US, I would do it for free. You don't have to live in the US to edit my videos. You can live anywhere in the world. But that would not give everyone the honest install of the product. Well, I wouldn't remove this. I wouldn't remove the live video, but not everyone wants to sit through a 5-hour video. In fact, most people don't. Most people want a quick, get in and get out. So I could provide videos for both types of people. Carrie, as a business person, do you think it's worth going to a good university for electrical or computer engineering? Yes. JHP Hawaii Photos contributed $2. Says, I would be interested to help. Well, let's talk. Editing, let me make it clear. The people that I've had edit for me lately, or most recently, all they're doing is cutting. And I don't want somebody who just cuts. I want somebody who understands how to use the editing software, how to add maybe some text across the bottom of the screen to explain something, or if I'm installing the Gambius cooler, put the link on the screen. To be able to do a digital zoom and put a little motion, because the camera, without a cameraman, it stays obviously in one place. But you can pan and zoom digitally and give the video a little more life. Some of the videos only need to be cut. Like if I'm doing a live, I don't even know. Some of the stuff I do, cutting is fine, but anybody can cut. I'm not interested in cutting. I'm interested in editing. And editing involves more than cutting. It involves sound correction, color correction, digital panning, digital zooming, transitions, text on the screen, and you've got to know as the editor, when you're cutting something very critical out of the video, you've got to know technically what belongs and what can go without losing the content, without losing the viewer. And I haven't met that person. Well, that's not true. The guy Newegg had, he was very, very good. And he was a college student working at Newegg, and I think he's still editing for them. Very smart kid, very, very bright future in editing. I did reach out to him to ask, because a lot of changes happened at Newegg, and I didn't know if maybe he wasn't with them anymore, and he didn't respond to me. So I'm assuming that he still works for them and considers it a conflict of interest, which I respect. Or he's just not interested, or maybe he never got my email. So either way, I'm not going to bother him. I move on, and it is what it is, and that's why. And as the editor, you're certainly welcome to put your name, and I would expect you to, at the end of the video, say edited by. And I have editors that don't know how to spell. That's really annoying when they're putting text on the screen and they're misspelling it. But I expect a lot from my editor. I don't just want anybody to do it. I want somebody who really wants to edit and wants to learn and grow. I have no problem with you learning. That's fine. But you need to take a moment to spell check yourself if you're not good with spelling. You need to make it look like you see in movies and TV. That's all, as best you can. That's what I want. What video editing software do you recommend? Well, Hollywood uses overall Adobe Premiere, After Effects and stuff like that. We don't need to use that. We could get by, I get by with Cyberlink PowerDirector. It's good enough. But the editor can use whatever software the editor wants to use. The editor can use a Mac for all I care. It doesn't matter to me. It's like asking me what car you should drive. I don't care what car you drive. Just get to where you need to go and get there on time. If you want to take the bus, you want to take a train, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a sports car, an SUV, a minivan, a pickup truck, I don't care. But I use Cyberlink PowerDirector. I find it less intimidating than Adobe Premiere. I'm sure it would benefit me to learn Adobe Premiere and After Effects. I don't have time. The time I spend editing, I'm not creating. So that needs to go off to somebody else so I can continue to create and they can edit and try and refine the rough edges of what I'm doing live and turn it into, polish it up. I'm the miner. I've dug up this rough diamond and it's up to you to chisel it down and get it all faceted and polished. That's what I need out of my editor. Paul Kitching says, I create graphics for various retro computing and gaming projects. See, I don't have any skill in that. I need somebody to do that. So I'm willing to accept if people want to submit. You know, the only thing I can offer you in return is some credit, you know, in the video notes. Or if you want to put like a little something down in the corner that says created by, you're welcome to do that on any graphics that you would submit. Because I'll tell you what happens. I don't even remember who made my intro. I use that intro on every single video and I can't tell you the person who made it. I feel awful about it. I'm sure if I dig around through 20,000 email messages, somewhere in there, I have the original email from that person. But when I first used it, I gave them credit in the video notes. And after that, I don't know anymore because I hadn't decided that I was going to use it. I wanted to see, did the audience like it? And then of course, customers call and I get sidetracked and those darn customers keep getting in the way of getting work done. So yeah, you're certainly welcome to put credit in there for that reason. Is there any way to remove the watermark in Cyberlink? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no watermarks in my Cyberlink. Maybe you haven't paid for it? Maybe buy the product? Am I going to do a live call-in show anytime? No, I've got so much work to do, there's no time. There's absolutely no time for it. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. So you guys, thank you so much again. Thanks for all my moderators for keeping it civil in there and discouraging the trolls. I really, really, really appreciate that, if I haven't made that clear. For everybody who contributed financially, thank you so much. Your contributions are what enable me to make more videos more often. To everybody who had anything nice to say, thank you. To those of you who treat each other with respect, that's its own reward. Thank you. And I have to get another machine up here, but I have to get this one out today. So let me let you go for now, and I will be back again, I hope tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I could be back later today. I don't think I can. It's Friday. My wife's going to be home. Yeah, that's not going to work. So I'll figure it out. I don't know yet. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.